Chapter 112. Dang. Dang. Several shattering sounds rang out. Chu Tian cut off the shackles on Lin Mu, Feng Han, and the others. Lin Mu revealed a look of gratitude. I can't thank you with words, I will repay you with 10,000 deaths. This place is quickly surrounded. Chu Tian gave some yuan essence grass to these people. Take these elixirs and quickly recover your spirit energy. We can't stay here for long, prepare to kill our way out. A few random dogs really can't be relied on. The blood pool in the center of the hall began to boil, and a tall figure floated up from it. In an instant, an extremely terrifying aura surged out, as if the entire space was soaked in blood that made people want to vomit. Young man, your potential isn't bad, it would be a pity to kill you. Now that the sacred religion needs people, if you choose to rely on me, this one will accept you as a direct disciple, and teach you the true demonic arts of the sacred religion. There will be endless elixirs and wealth. That tall figure was completely naked and covered in sticky blood. His entire body was like a half-melted wax, and his facial features were almost indistinguishable. Only a pair of scarlet eyes could be seen. Lin Mu and Feng Han were stunned. What was this thing? There was a creepy feeling. This fellow had clearly been dead for several hundred years. Now that he had revived in front of them, how could they not be shocked and terrified? Ha ha ha, you should really look at yourself in the mirror. Chu Tian faced the blood person's pressure and did not feel any fear at all. Rather, he taunted. You look like shit and you want me to be your disciple? Even if you don't think it's shameful, I think it's shameful, pay. Impudent. A terrifying pressure was suddenly released. Lin Mu and the others trembled as a mountain of corpses, and a sea of blood appeared in front of them. The pungent smell of blood directly drilled into their minds, making their souls tremble. That oppressive feeling made it hard for them to breathe. Too terrifying, it was truly too terrifying. This aura had already surpassed an Earth Soul Realm expert, even surpassing an illustrious Soul Realm expert. This blood person was already a legendary true Soul Realm expert. The awakened Soul Realm was split into 3 stages. In the entire central state, there were less than 10 known true Soul Realm experts. Just the aura of a true Soul Realm expert was enough to make a normal awakened soul cultivator's battle intent collapse. I am the leader of the Tianma cult. Weak people from small countries like you are not even considered as ants in front of me. The bloody man slowly rose from the blood pool completely, and the powerful pressure continued to oppress everyone. I saw that your aptitude was not bad, and I wanted to take you as my disciple, but you didn't know how to cherish it? Then go to hell. A furious murderous aura swept over. Everyone felt as if they had fallen into an ice cave. It's over, it's over. An existence comparable to a true Soul Realm expert had made a move. These people did not have the strength to resist at all. The bloody man swept his gaze over the others and said coldly, Our sect is reviving, and it is time for us to use people. I'll give you all a chance to live. Everyone seemed to have seen a ray of hope. Who would want to die? Survival was a person's instinct. Facing this old monster from who knows how many years ago, these inexperienced people didn't even have the courage to resist. Kill him. Whoever can kill him will become a disciple of the great Tianma cult. The bloody man's cold and tempting voice reverberated through the main hall. This is the Tianma cult's peerless demonic technique that this one personally taught. With these words, everyone revealed a complex expression. This bloody man was in existence with a very high cultivation base. An old senior from several hundred years ago. The cultivation technique and resources he had were unimaginable. The cultivators here, if they weren't young mercenaries, they were normal rogue cultivators. To become an awakened soul cultivator, they all relied on opportunities. After becoming an awakened soul cultivator, they had already reached the peak of their life. Who didn't want to become stronger? Who didn't want to practice a stronger cultivation technique? Who didn't want to go to a new world? If they missed this chance, they might never encounter it again. Chu Tian saw their expressions change. This is just a trick, don't fall for it. The bloody man's tempting voice urgently rang out. Do you want to be unknown for the rest of your lives? This once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity is right in front of you. As long as you pass this test and become a disciple of the Tianma cult, You can follow this one to roam the world and rebuild the glory of our sacred cult." The eyes of these people were already filled with fanaticism. This person was at least a true soul realm expert. And he had even broken through to the awakened soul realm. There weren't many people like this in the entire southern Xia. If they could follow this kind of peerless expert, wouldn't it be a great fortune? Don't be fooled by his appearance. This person was seriously injured several hundred years ago, and was on the verge of death. He sealed his life force and sealed himself in ice until today. He used this kind of people like Yan Wuyang to collect materials to heal his injuries. His injuries have not completely healed, and he is in a very weak state. Otherwise, if he had the confidence to kill us, he would have already made his move. Why would he waste so many words? The bloody man's expression changed. This fellow could actually see through this much? The bloody man was indeed one of the leaders of the Tianma cult. When he was on the verge of death, he used a secret technique to seal himself in ice, allowing his life force to continue. After Yan Wuyang opened the ruins and awakened this bloody man, the bloody man used this method to bewitch Yan Wuyang, making him kill countless civilians and 2,000 body refinement cultivators, to refine a large amount of blood essence to heal his injuries and prolong his life. After a few months of recuperation, the bloody man's injuries were stabilized, but his vitality was greatly injured and his cultivation base had not recovered. He could only swallow the essence of awakened soul cultivators to restore him to his peak. Who would have thought that Chu Tian would suddenly appear? The bloody man was currently in a weak state, so he only had 1% of his peak strength. Lin Mu resisted the temptation of the bloody man, and turned around to shout at the people beside him. "This is a bluff. He just wants us to kill each other. Everyone, don't fall for it. Peerless cultivation techniques, unlimited wealth, prestigious authority. As long as you follow this one, everything will be yours." The bloody man said word by word. "Are you sure you want to watch this opportunity slip away right in front of your eyes? Do you want to seek your own death? Kill, kill. Kill this fellow." These rogue cultivators all had red eyes and a pair of eyes filled with killing intent as they stared at Chu Tian. They had already forgotten who had saved them, and who had helped them recover their strength. Feng Han stood up and angrily said, "This demon wants to absorb all of your essence. It was Brother Lu who saved us, but now you don't want to repay Brother Lu and even want to help the demon harm him. Don't you feel ashamed? Scram. Don't block us. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Even if you don't want it, we still want it." Feng Han and Lin Mu stood in front of Chu Tian, their faces filled with solemn expressions as they looked at these people. The bloody man used a few words to incite these people and let out a wild laugh. "Kill. Kill. Kill them. Every man for himself will be destroyed by the heavens. Step on their corpses and walk into a new world." Chu Tian shouted, "Block them, I'll go kill this ugly monster." "All right." Lin Mu and Feng Han gave a loud roar and immediately joined hands to block the rogue cultivators. Chu Tian raised his sword and passed through the main hall, directly attacking the bloody man. The battle was about to begin. Lin Mu and Feng Han's cultivations weren't bad, but 2 fists couldn't fight against 4 hands. They couldn't hold on for long, so Chu Tian had to quickly end this battle. "You want to fight this king alone?" As the blood person's spirit energy surged, an ear-piercing noise rang out. A giant blood-red bat yuan spirit came out of its body. When the blood-red bat yuan spirit was summoned, it immediately released a strong blood-red fluctuation in the surrounding space. "Blood demon bat?" Chu Tian's eyes narrowed and he immediately stopped moving. He pulled back and the blood-red fluctuation hit his body, instantly creating large cracks on his glass body. An ear-piercing spiritual wave directly entered his brain and cut off Chu Tian's consciousness. Chu Tian's eyes turned black, and he almost fainted. So strong. The bat sound wave attack was a double attack that contained normal energy and spiritual energy. Chu Tian's starlight immortal body could barely block the energy attack, but he could not block the spiritual attack. Although this blood man's strength had not recovered, his battle strength was not inferior to a triple awakened soul's. With Chu Tian's current strength, defeating a peak second awakened soul layer cultivator was already a bit difficult, not to mention a triple awakened soul. The difference in cultivation was just too big. I gave you a path to live, but you don't want to take it. Then you'll become this one's sacrifice. The Bloodman's bat source spirit released a vertical sound wave attack that sent Chu Tian flying several meters away. He crashed into several pillars, and even with the Starlight Immortal Body's protection, Chu Tian still suffered heavy injuries. The worst thing was that this sound wave contained a spiritual attack that continued to deprive Chu Tian of his mobility. It made it so that Chu Tian could not dodge or resist at all. 10,000 bat devouring body. The bloody man raised his hands high, and the bat source spirit immediately disintegrated, releasing a thick blood mist, which instantly covered the bloody man's body. Countless scarlet bats the size of a palm were born from the blood mist, and like a blood cloud, they quickly covered Chu Tian. Once the blood-sucking bats landed on his body, they would instantly suck his blood essence dry. Scram! The demon god's sword appeared in a flash. The blood-red bats were all shattered and turned back into a blood fog that returned to the bloodman's body. Chu Tian's starlight body continued to recover, and he returned to his strongest defense. The injuries he had just received were quickly healed. You recovered your consciousness this quickly? The bloodman was a little surprised. It was reasonable to say that with a trivial first awakened soul layer, fainting on the spot from the bat's spiritual attack was normal. No matter how strong his consciousness was, it was impossible for him to recover this quickly. There was a problem with this brat's body. Chu Tian's main source spirit could counteract the spiritual attack. Therefore, the blood demon bat's spiritual attack did not affect Chu Tian at all. The blood man flew into the air and was surrounded by the blood fog, struggling at death's door. This one will take your little life now. There was not much spirit energy left in Chu Tian's body. The demon god's sword source spirit continued to pour energy into the netherworld sword, and the netherworld sword's purple glow became stronger and stronger. 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters. The sword glow grew to 4-5 meters long. It was like a purple-red beam of light that contained an ancient destructive power that seemed like it could cut through anything in this world. This sword intent was this strong? This sword source spirit was not a small matter. This sword condensed all of Chu Tian's strength. Even if the bloodman were to take it head-on, it would still be hard for him to block it. But the bloodman was confident in himself. He cultivated the Tianma cult's blood transformation art. The cultivation process was very cruel and it required large amounts of blood essence from living cultivators, but it could still attack and defend at the same time. The blood fog around him was formed from the blood essence of living beings, and could condense a strong defense. He had absolute confidence that he could block Chu Tian's sword. Heavenly demon devouring blood. The blood man spat out a large amount of blood fog that instantly surrounded Chu Tian's body. The strong corrosive power continued to penetrate, and the Starlight Immortal Body's defense was quickly weakened. As long as his defense was broken, Chu Tian would be killed by the blood poison. At this critical moment, the little fox suddenly jumped out and spat out a gray light at the blood man. When the blood man was covered by the light, the blood mist around his body flowed out like water and was sucked into the little fox's stomach. The blood man was shocked. What? Although he had noticed the spirit beast, he never would have thought that this spirit beast would have this kind of ability. Not only could it absorb the heavenly demon art, S demonic chi, it could even absorb the blood transformation art, S blood chi. These two demonic arts were the most important cultivation techniques of the Tianma cult. This little beast could restrain all the demonic arts in the world. The blood fog dissipated. Not only did it take away the bloodman's defenses, it also took away the bloodman's strength. The essence of the great art of blood transformation that the bloodman cultivated was to circulate the power of his blood essence. When his blood essence was sucked dry, it was equivalent to his strength being sucked dry. He, who was already very weak, became even weaker now. No, stop. The bloodman gave a mournful cry. A 5-6 meter long giant sword glow slashed down from head to toe, cutting the bloodman in half. This several hundred-year-old demon had actually died under Chu Tian's sword like this. Chapter 113. This great character from several hundred years ago was killed by a nameless youth with a single slash. This fellow had just stepped into the first awakened soul layer. This was a battle that jumped realms, and it was not just a small jump. Was he still human? He was simply a monster. When their dreams were completely shattered, these rogue cultivators all had pale faces and lost their will to fight. They were so scared that they wanted to leave the battle and escape. Lin Mu loudly roared. Where do you think you're going? Chu Tian shouted. Don't chase a cornered enemy, forget it. This motley crew, Chu Tian did not place them in his eyes. Not to mention that Lin Mu and Fang Han's spirit energy was almost exhausted. Brother, I've never admired anyone in my life, but you are definitely the first. Lin Mu said with an excited expression. You killed the demon and broke the Yellowstone City's City Lord scheme. You've really done a great deed. You're going to be famous. Famous? Forget it. For a person like me, being famous is too easy, but being low-key is very hard. Don't be happy too early. Fang Han knit his brows and said. The Black Wind stronghold is filled with Yan Wuyang's minions. We haven't completely escaped from danger yet. What are you afraid of? We'll just join hands and kill our way out. Lin Mu looked at Chu Tian and asked, Brother, what do you think? Leaving like this is too much of a loss. Chu Tian shook his head and said, We were tricked by that old fool and almost lost our lives. Shouldn't we ask for some interest? The two of them seemed to realize something and looked around. The ground was filled with gold, silver, and jewels, as well as equipment and materials. It was filled with a rich aura as it shined with an alluring light. If a normal person casually grabbed a handful, it would be enough to enjoy for a lifetime. Even for an awakened soul realm expert, it would be considered a large treasure. The little fox nimbly jumped up and turned into a cloud of gray mist in the air. In the next second, a head popped out from a pile of materials. It held a spirit fruit in each of its paws and began to chew on it with relish. The two spirit fruits that were as big as its body were stuffed into its stomach in 3-4 seconds. But its little body did not grow at all. Lin Mu and Fang Han were stunned. Just where did this little critter come from? That strange teleportation-like technique, coupled with his unbelievable appetite, made people look at him in a new light. At this moment, the sounds of battle rang out from above. The loose cultivators who had just escaped were fighting with the Blackwind bandits. The Blackwind bandits had discovered that something had happened down below, and were definitely going to attack. If you bring out the branch leader's corpse and Yan Wuyang's head, that motley crew's morale will naturally collapse when they see these two things. Good idea. Most of the Blackwind bandits were Yan Wuyang's bodyguards. They followed Yan Wuyang and served the bloody men, which was how they were taught the demonic arts. When these bodyguards saw that Yan Wuyang was killed, and even their mysterious branch leader was killed, they knew that the whole thing had been exposed, and their morale would definitely collapse. Then he took out a few of the leaders. Even if there were only a few left, the rest would not be able to pose a threat. Lin Mu and Fang Han carried the heads and left. Chu Tian was too lazy to participate in the battle. He first ate a few elixirs and recovered some of his energy. Then he searched through the treasure chests in the hall for what he wanted. Found it. When he opened the huge cargo chest with the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce's logo, it was neatly placed inside. Many square-shaped crystal medicine boxes were neatly placed inside. Each box contained a complete black-red herb, surrounded by a fiery aura, as if the entire herb was burning. The nether flame grass was a young attribute herb that grew in the land of extreme Yin. The nether flame grass had a strong fire attribute energy, and the flame contained a dense black Yin aura. This caused the flame to contain a strong corrosive poison. If an ordinary person touched it, they would die immediately. This herb could be used in refining weapons, alchemy, and formations. Although the nether flame grass was not an elixir that took several hundred years to grow, it was still the same as the meteor grass. It had a very harsh environment to grow and it was very hard to cultivate, so it was listed as a rare herb. The nether flame grass was a level 2 material, which was a level higher than the meteor grass. Therefore, its price was very high, with each one costing 500-600 gold coins. It was almost enough to buy a level 1 elixir. This is great. It's a good thing these things are still here. The medicine box was specially made. Not only could it protect the herb, the runes could prevent the herb's medicinal properties from leaking, and it could also prevent the nether flame grass from being poisoned. There were several large boxes filled with nether flame grass. There were around 1,000 of them. The Spirit King bead had shrunk by 2/3. The 1,000-year nether flame source flame was very weak, like a candle in the wind that could be extinguished at any time. He had finally made it. If he had been a day or two later, this precious spirit flame would have completely disappeared. The value of the nether flame itself was very high. Not to mention a 1,000-year nether flame that had been refined by the Spirit King for 1,000 years, and contained ghost energy. The value of this item was not lower than the netherworld sword. The nether flame wrapped around the Spirit King bead was slowly peeled off. Chu Tian used the starlight to protect his body, avoiding being burned by the dangerous flame during the process. This blue and white flame was around the size of a fingernail. It slowly pulsed in his palm, faintly letting out a ghostly howl as it released a dark and terrifying aura. The flame's temperature was not high. It even gave off an ice-cold feeling. Because the nether flame was a cold flame, it did not have a strong ability to burn materials, but it could burn energy. In theory, it was the nemesis of any protective spirit energy or defensive cultivation technique. After the Spirit King had refined it for 1,000 years, the nether flame had been bestowed with ghost energy, increasing its corrosive ability. Although it did not have the ability to burn materials, it could easily corrode normal materials. The flame contained the unique spiritual energy of a ghost, which could interfere with the enemy's mind, corroding materials, burning energy, and interfering with the mind. The three-layered attack of material, energy, and mind was very strong. Let's first subdue it. Chu Tian's palm lit up, and a large amount of spirit energy entered the nether flame. The dim flame violently pulsed a few times. The nether ghost flame had only been born for a few days, but it already had a weak consciousness, so it was instinctively resisting. It was a futile effort. The nether ghost flame was too weak. It could be extinguished at any time. How could it resist Chu Tian? Other than submitting, it had no other choice. His spirit energy easily seeped into the flame, controlling the core of the ghost flame. Just like any soul-contracting weapon, it firmly controlled the nether ghost flame. This blue and white flame was connected to Chu Tian's mind, moving as he wished. It lingered around his fingertip, deliberately avoiding hurting its master. Chu Tian nodded in satisfaction. This really is a good treasure. The nether ghost flame was a natural treasure. This so-called natural treasure was something that was naturally formed by the world. It did not need to be refined or processed. It was a kind of treasure that could be used. For example, there was a natural thing called the void gourd. It naturally contained a space and could be used as a storage treasure. There were many similar things. Chu Tian did not think it was a rare thing. The nether ghost flame's fire seed had already been activated, and the flame was very weak. It could be extinguished at any time. In order to make it stronger, it could only be fed. Not every material could be refined by the nether ghost flame. The materials to cultivate the nether ghost flame not only needed to have enough energy, they also needed to have a unique attribute like the nether ghost flame. The nether flame grass was one of the best materials. Go! The nether ghost flame flowed out of his fingers and fell onto the surface of the crystal box. It was like a strong acid dripping onto it. It immediately released large amounts of dark green flames. It was like a thin layer of cardboard, easily corroding a small hole in the crystal box. The ghost flame entered the box and covered a stalk of nether flame grass. The herb quickly withered and large amounts of dark red energy leaked out from the herb, being swallowed by the nether ghost flame. After swallowing a stalk of nether flame grass, the flame became a bit brighter. The nether ghost flame split into two and burned through 2 crystal boxes. After swallowing 2 herbs, it split into 4 and swallowed 4 stalks of nether flame grass. In a quarter of an hour, 1,000 stalks of nether flame grass had been swallowed by the ghost flame. Good. This flame is really strong. Under the control of his mind, hundreds of small blue and white fireballs floated in the air. Each one was the size of a fingernail. Chu Tian clasped his hands together. Countless specks of light gathered together, forming a fireball the size of a human head. The blue and white flames burned, but not only did it not release any heat, it made people feel very cold. Not to mention normal people resisting, just looking at the fireball would make their hearts palpitate, and they would even have terrifying hallucinations. That cold and terrifying death aura made people's hearts tremble. It's too eye-catching to carry such a huge fireball around. Chu Tian controlled the fireball and revealed an awkward expression. I don't have a fire source spirit and I don't have a flame cultivation technique. Where should I put it? With a natural flame source spirit, the spiritual flame could directly merge with his body. Mo Yin also had a flame control cultivation technique, so the flames could be stored in his meridians through his cultivation technique. Chu Tian did not have a fire source spirit, and did not have a special flame control cultivation technique, so the netherworld ghost flame was like a weapon to him. Only this weapon was very special, and could be stored in a normal container. The little fox kept gnawing on a piece of ginseng. It stretched out its little claw and pointed at the netherworld sword. Chu Tian asked in a surprised voice, "You mean you want to store it in the sword?" The little fox made a gesture with its little claw to show its affirmation. Chu Tian remembered that when he had subdued the netherworld sword, he had seen the netherworld sword's weapon spirit. Wasn't it just a burning monster? Perhaps the netherworld sword and the netherworld flame were born from the same body, but they were separated later on. Let's give it a try. The netherworld sword entered the flame. The netherworld flame seemed to be attracted by something, and was immediately pulled in, merging with the netherworld sword. It made the sword even brighter, and the veined patterns released a blue and white glow. As the flame flowed, it released an aura similar to that of a living being. The netherworld sword was not corroded, rather its aura became stronger. It rubbed its round belly and gave a burp. With its 4 feet in the air, it laid down comfortably with a satisfied look on its face. Fuck. What the hell? It's all been eaten. You damn prodigal fox. Chu Tian charged over and grabbed the little fox's ear, fiercely lifting it up. You ate at least several million gold coins from father. The little fox did not feel guilty at all. Rather, it stretched out its 2 little claws and made a face at him. So what if this fox ate it all? If you have the skills, then come and hit me. Chu Tian's temper instantly rose. See if I don't properly teach you a lesson. He really wanted to fight? The little fox trembled in fear. It knew that its master was not an easy person to deal with, so it quickly made a few gestures. What? There are other treasures here? The little fox pointed in the direction of the blood pond with its claws. Chu Tian looked over at the blood pond, where the heavenly demon branch lord was healing. Was there something good hidden there? Chapter 114. This little thing was very clever. Who knew if it was lying or not? Without waiting for Chu Tian to ask anything, he felt his hand become empty as the little fox turned into a gray mist and disappeared. It directly teleported to the top of the blood pool, and using some unknown method, it floated in the air without falling. Forcefully sucking in its stomach, it took a deep breath and the blood essence in the pool began to boil. Countless drops of blood began to float like there was no gravity, finally gathering into thousands of red streams that were all sucked into the little fox's mouth. In less than 10 seconds, the blood essence in the pool quickly dried up, and was completely absorbed by the little fellow. This made Chu Tian stunned. How could a fox eat anything? What kind of skill did the little fox hide? Until now, Chu Tian did not know anything about his little pet. The little fox did not show any battle strength, but its teleportation movement was very suitable for scouting and escaping. Other than that, the little fox seemed to have an ability similar to the evil-breaking beast, being able to restrain any kind of evil spirit. The little fox had just been born not long ago. Its skills were not limited to just this. Chu Tian thought of the fox-faced corpse king that had given the little fox to him. The fox-faced corpse king seemed to be the servant of a very strong existence in the distant past, so what was the sacred lord it mentioned? There was no use thinking about these things. He could only find out step by step in the future. When the little fox sucked in a large amount of blood essence, its snow-white body turned into a bright red color. But it only lasted for a few seconds before the bright red color was absorbed by its body, turning back into a spotless snow-white color. Gigi. The little fox fell to the bottom of the blood pool, and circled around a pile of things, indicating for Chu Tian to quickly come down. Chu Tian jumped into the empty pool, and the little fox ran forward. Standing up, it used its claw to point at the pile of things beside it. An ancient cauldron. a dark red token, several ancient weapons, and a few black jade slips. These should be the items left behind by the Tianma cult's branch master. A small branch master had this kind of terrifying strength. When the Tianma cult was at its peak, it was not a normal power. A long spear, a pair of short blades, a broken blood-red robe, and a blood-red needle. These were the equipment left behind by the leader of the Tianma cult. From the quality of the materials used, the first three should be high-grade soul armaments. Their value was probably very high. A mid-grade soul tool was worth at least a few 100,000 gold coins. A better one could even reach 1,000,000 gold coins. A high-grade soul tool could reach several million gold coins. Therefore, it could be said that these things were originally very valuable, but because they hadn't been nourished for hundreds of years, the artifact spirits in these soul tools had already withered, and because of this, their value was greatly reduced. It was a very regrettable matter. This needle is interesting. Chu Tian picked up the blood-red needle. The needle was a few inches long and as thin as a cow's hair. It was hard to distinguish, and there was no fluctuation of a soul tool. It looked like an ordinary item, but Chu Tian did not dare to underestimate it. The material of this item was not simple. This thin needle was actually made from a material called blood-een steel. This material could not be formed in the natural world, and it required a very complicated method to refine. The process was bloody and cruel, but once it was refined, it would be very precious. This needle was made from level 2 blood-een steel, so it could ignore the spirit energy of any awakened soul cultivator. Whether it was the void soul, illustrious soul, or true soul, if they were unprepared, a single stab from this needle would definitely kill them. This was a good item that could ignore cultivation bases. Chu Tian did not have time to put it away. The little fox's black eyes rolled around, and it suddenly grabbed the needle, swallowing it in a single gulp. Fuck! You're eating this thing? Spit it out. Spit it out for father. The little fox covered its mouth with its claws, and its legs moved back a few steps to the wall. It looked up at its fierce master and firmly shook its head, showing an expression that it would rather die than submit. I think you're itching for a beating. It actually dared to steal its master's treasure. If he didn't properly teach it a lesson today, this little fellow would ride on father's head sooner or later. The little fox suddenly moved its claws away, and with a sudden blow, a red afterimage disappeared. Chu Tian felt his cheeks turn cold, and a few strands of hair fell down. Pung. A small sound rang out. There was a radio crack on the wall, and there was a small hole in the middle of it. A thin needle slowly flew out from inside, and this needle was covered in a layer of demonic qi. There were faint runes all over it, and it was under the control of this power that it slowly returned to the little fox's side. The little fox reached out with its claws, and the small needle was caught in its hand. Those eyes that could speak stared at Chu Tian and revealed a proud look, as if it was asking for credit. Fuck your grandmother. Chu Tian directly knocked its head. Woo. The little fox held its head in pain and gave a wronged whimper. It's wrong for a pet to steal its master's treasure. Do you understand? The little fox bared its teeth and wanted to resist, but seeing Chu Tian raise his hand again, it quickly nodded. Holding the small needle in its claws, it walked forward a few steps, looking like it was presenting a treasure to its master. Humph! Chu Tian curled his lips in disdain. Seeing that your attitude is not bad, this master doesn't like this thing, so I'll give it to you. The little fox's sparkling eyes flashed with a trace of craftiness. Did it really think it would give away a treasure it liked? This fellow had already guessed Chu Tian's thoughts. This needle itself did not have much killing power, but it could ignore spirit energy defenses, making it a sinister divine weapon for sneak attacks. With the little fox holding onto this needle, it would be able to catch people off guard and catch them off guard. Sneak attacks. The open and aboveboard brother Tian would not do something like this, but the little fox was very cunning. Other than that, when the little fox obtained this weapon, it would have a bit of battle strength. Chu Tian looked at the other things. The medicine cauldron looked quite ordinary, but there were several round bright red beads inside. Blood essence bead? The blood essence bead was a material refined from a living person's blood essence. It was a necessary material for cultivating evil arts. The Tianma cult's leader refined the blood essence bead to heal his injuries, but he did not have time to use it before he died. This thing could directly increase one's cultivation base. Its effects were not inferior to a level 2 spirit pill. But refining a blood essence bead, the process was too cruel. It was unknown how many people's blood was sucked out. This thing went against the heavens and contained a deep resentment, so Chu Tian did not want to use it. Several black jade slips were densely filled with runes. It made people feel dizzy just looking at them. This should be a secret manual that recorded the cultivation methods of the heavenly demon cult's devil arts. Even though the heavenly demon cult was a large cult with many years of inheritance, their devil arts were all derived from the Desolate Age remnant scriptures. But compared to the Netherworld flame sword, these cultivation techniques were far from it. Chu Tian gave it a few simple glances and curled his lips in disdain. He then casually rolled it up. The last thing was a dark red token that was refined from the rare level 3 jade, demon blood jade. There were large amounts of restrictions engraved on the surface, and there was a large demon word written on it. It should be a token of the Tianma cult. Chu Tian looked at the little fox and said, "What kind of treasure is this? What use do these things have to me? The only useful needle was taken advantage of by a fellow like you." The little fox made a face. A master that mistreated a pet deserved this kind of bad luck. That motley crew has already been defeated. Lin Mu and Fang Han were covered in blood as they came back. It was clear that they had just experienced a cruel battle. The two of them were shocked when they came in because there were no herbs left in the main hall. Chu Tian gave an awkward smile. "I'm sorry because I wasn't paying attention. Those things were all eaten by this fellow." The little fox deliberately stuck out its bulging stomach and patted it with its little claws. It was saying that it was this fox that did it, and that they were too late. The two of them revealed a look of disbelief. How could he stuff so many ingredients into the stomach of this little beast that was no bigger than a bowl in 2 hours? Was this little fellow's stomach connected to a different space? These pieces of equipment were found in the blood pool. They should have been used by the branch lord in the past. Chu Tian took out the spear, the dagger, and the blood cloak. "These things are useless to me, you can take them." These are soul weapons. The two of them could feel the strong aura coming from these pieces of equipment, and they couldn't help revealing a shocked and excited expression. They were young mercenaries that had just started out. How could they have the money to buy a soul weapon? Chu Tian nodded and said, "Although the weapon spirit has withered, it is still a good quality soul weapon, and it still has a good destructive power. If we can find a suitable beast spirit in the future, we can find a weapon refiner to refine the weapon spirit. I'll also give these demonic cultivation techniques to you." Chu Tian handed over the black jade book left by the Tianma cult's branch lord. Although the demonic cultivation technique is strong, the cultivation process is very cruel, and it is easy to create a heart demon, so you have to choose carefully. "Many thanks, Brother Liu." The demonic cultivation technique had a large side effect, but as a high-level cultivation technique, how could they refuse its temptation? Moreover, the demonic cultivation technique did not have to be completely cultivated. If they could learn 1 or 2 secret techniques from it, they would have endless benefits. Chu Tian said, "We have to hurry. Central State will soon receive the news and send people over. We'll move as many things as we can from here as possible." The materials in the main hall were either transported from the city or stolen from the caravans. After Central State sent people to take over this place, most of it would be swallowed by them. Since it was like this, it would be better to take away a batch. Chu Tian took out the box containing the 3 lives demonic insect and the magnetic sound stone. These were originally goods that belonged to Miracle Commerce. Chu Tian had hidden them in the nearby mountain forest, burying them in a secret place. When they matured, they would secretly transport them back. Lin Mu and Fang Han took away a large amount of equipment. The two of them were in the mercenary group business, so these high-quality equipment were more practical than real money. While the 3 of them were busy moving the materials, a large group of soldiers came from outside the stronghold, instantly surrounding them so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. A large number of archers covered them from afar. Several hundred spear soldiers rushed in and saw the 3 of them. "Stop! Stop for me. The army surrounded the three of them. Two people who seemed to be the leaders walked out. One was a large and muscular man with dark skin, and the other was a middle-aged man with fair skin who looked to be in his 30s or 40s. He Chang shouted in a cold voice. This is the den of the Black Wind stronghold. There are several suspicious people sneaking around here, so they are most likely not good people. Capture them for me. Lin Mu angrily said. How can you capture people without distinguishing between right and wrong? We were tricked by that bastard Yin Wuyang to come here. It was Brother Liu who killed Yin Wuyang and the leader of Tianma cult, so the Black Wind stronghold was defeated. What? Tianma cult? That fair-skinned scholarly middle-aged man excitedly said. It really is a branch of Tianma cult. General Xiong, I'll go take a look first. The scholarly middle-aged man personally entered the demon's den. The dark and muscular general's eyes swept over the three of them. He believed that the two of them were not lying, so his gaze softened a bit. He nodded in satisfaction. If this really is a branch of Tianma cult, then you guys have done a great service. Chu Tian asked curiously, what's the origin of Tianma cult? You don't even know about Tianma cult? General Xiong shook his head and said, at its peak, this cult ruled over more than a dozen countries of various sizes. It was very powerful. However, Tianma cult style was vicious. During its rule, they enslaved tens of thousands of people and used living people as sacrifices to cultivate their martial arts. In the end, it aroused public anger and was eliminated. A sect ruled over more than a dozen countries of various sizes? It was really not simple. No wonder a mere branch leader actually possessed such tyrannical strength. At this time, the scholarly middle-aged man rushed back and shouted angrily, did you guys see a token? Chapter 115. Token? What token? Lin Mu and Fang Han were at a loss. I didn't see it. Bastard. The scholarly middle-aged man's face turned green as he anxiously roared. You trash think you can deceive me? I advise you to quickly hand over the token. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Lin Mu was young and impulsive. The middle-aged man's attitude made him feel very dissatisfied. We really don't know what you're talking about. Don't say that we haven't seen any token. Even if we have, why should we give it to you? Bang. The scholarly middle-aged man turned into a blur as he pounced forward and punched Lin Mu's face. Lin Mu did not have time to react, and was sent flying several feet away. His entire face swelled up, and he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. His eyes revealed a trace of shock. Fang Han angrily charged forward. What right do you have to hit people? The middle-aged man's lightning-fast punch landed on his abdomen, causing Fang Han to fall to the ground. You wild cultivators, listen carefully. The scholarly middle-aged man's white face turned red from anger. Let me tell you, I am Dragon Sword Young Master Chu Xinghe's housekeeper, Chu Tungguen. The token is what Dragon Sword Young Master wants. If you dare to hide it, just wait for your family to be exterminated. The head of the Central State 4 Young Masters, Chu Xinghe? When the two of them heard Chu Xinghe's name, their expressions instantly changed. They were originally filled with anger, but they immediately swallowed their anger. How would we dare to take Heavenly Sword Young Master's things? We really didn't see it. Pa. Before he finished, Chu Tungguen slapped him, causing him to fall to the ground. Heavenly Sword Young Master's reputation was like thunder to the ears. He was the head of the Central State 4 Young Masters and far surpassed the other 3 Young Masters. He was the most outstanding genius in Central State, and was known as the only person in Central State who had the potential to become the second Marquis. Lin Mu and Fang Han were just the leaders of an ordinary mercenary group. How could they dare to provoke such a person? If Chu Xinghe wanted to exterminate the 3 clans of the human race, he could do it with just a few words. Even though he hadn't become the head of the Chu family, he was already in charge of a lot of resources, and there were countless experts like Chu Tungguen who sought refuge with him. Chu Tian snorted coldly and stood in front of the two of them. Lin Mu and Fang Han were afraid of Chu Xinghe's reputation, but he wasn't. That's right, that token was with him. Originally, Chu Tian did not know what the token was used for, but now it seemed that even Chu Xinghe wanted it. It had always been a treasure. How could he give it to such a person? Speak. Where's the token? With Chu Tongwen's slap, Lin Mu and Fang Han did not even have the ability to dodge. How could this kind of strength deal with Yan Wuyang, who cultivated a demonic art? How could they deal with the Tianma cult's leader? Chu Tongwen said in a sharp voice. Now I have a serious suspicion that these three people are related to Tianma cult. Please hand them over to me. I will personally bring them back to Central State to interrogate them. Venomous slander. We are all people from the main city. How could we be related to this place? Lin Mu and Fang Han's faces turned very ugly, falling into Chu Tongwen's hands. Would they still have a life? If you want to blame someone, you can always find a way to frame them. If it wasn't good, they would really have their entire family executed. What was this token? They had never seen a token before. General Xiong did not seem to be able to excuse them. How did you survive Yan Wuyang's hands? And how did you defeat the Tianma cult's leader? I hope you will tell me the truth. Don't hide anything. Xiong, why do you have to do this? Chu Tongwen snorted. Leave it to me. In less than 3 days, I will definitely knock open their mouths and make them confess truthfully. Ha 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 ha. Chu Tian laughed a few times. Chu Tongwen snorted. What's so funny? Chu Tian walked directly in front of him and looked him in the eye without fear. What's so strange about this? General Xiong and Chu Tongwen were stunned. It's very simple. Chu Tian's words became extremely sharp. He said word by word in a sonorous and forceful manner. Because I am stronger than them. General Xiong was shocked. What is your cultivation base? It doesn't matter if you don't believe me. I'll prove it to you right now. Chu Tian pointed at Chu Tongwen and asked. This dog raised by the heavenly sword young master should have a triple awakened soul strength. Calling Chu Tongwen a dog? How many people in Central State had the guts to do this? Chu Tongwen was naturally enraged, seeking death. Speaking of this, it really is a small road for enemies. It's the one surnamed Chu again. Chu Tian slowly pulled out the netherworld sword from his back. I'm too lazy to waste my breath, just make your move. Since you don't want to accept it, then Father will beat you until you do. Father doesn't have any other skills, but I know how to teach a dog a lesson. Everyone looked at each other in amazement. This seemingly ordinary fellow actually didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth and challenged Chu Tongwen. What was the difference between this and seeking death? Chu Tongwen was not originally surnamed Chu. He was a very famous rogue cultivator, known as the life-stealing scholar. Not only did he have a very high cultivation base, he also knew the geography of the world, alchemy arrays, ancient runes. There was nothing he wasn't proficient in. There was a time when he fought with Chu Xinghe and was easily defeated by him in a single move. From then on, he firmly believed that Chu Xinghe was not an ordinary person. He was destined to soar into the heavens, becoming a character not inferior to the 8 marquises. In order to save his life, he pledged his loyalty to Chu Xinghe, changing his surname to Chu, becoming a consecrator of the Chu family, as well as one of Chu Xinghe's steward and trusted aides. Not only was this person strong, he was also very knowledgeable, so he had a very high status in the Chu family, even above the normal elders. This nobody who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth actually wanted to challenge the famous life-stealing scholar, Chu Tongwen? Chu Tongwen didn't get angry, instead he smiled. Surname Xiong, don't say I'm not giving you face, this is what he asked for. General Xiong's face was filled with helplessness. It was already like this. What else could he do? Chu Tongwen didn't say any more nonsense. He directly took a step forward. A terrifying aura filled the air. White spirit energy gathered on top of his head, unexpectedly transforming into the image of a golden book. Chu Tian blurted out. Book source spirit? This Chu Tongwen's source spirit type, unexpectedly was very similar to the young Mississippi. For a nobody like you to be able to see the 7-page golden book, you can die in peace. From Chu Tongwen's long sleeves, a giant iron pen suddenly came out. It was a full 3 feet long, the end was as sharp as a spear. It coldly pointed at Chu Tian. I'll give you one more chance. Tell me the location of the token, cripple your own cultivation and you can avoid death. Chu Tian laughed out loud. With a flick of his wrist, he raised his sword. The blue and white sword chi swept towards Chu Tongwen. This sword did not use his source spirit, It did not have the demon god sword's destructive power. Even if the netherworld sword chi was strong, it was only at the second awakened soul layer. A first awakened soul layer cultivator releasing the destructive power of a second awakened soul layer cultivator. This was already very amazing. Just based on this move from Chu Tian, it was completely possible for him to kill Yin Wuyang. Insignificant skill. Chu Tongwen's iron pen forcefully touched the sword chi, instantly breaking it. But the moment the sword chi broke, a strong stream of air came out. It was accompanied by large amounts of blue and white sparks. What? Chu Tongwen was shocked. General Xiong also had a surprised look on his face. This sword chi was very strong. It did not seem like it came from a first awakened soul layer cultivator. Moreover, the sword chi contained a strange flame. Although he did not know what kind of flame it was, it had a strong energy. Once it landed on his body, the consequences would be unimaginable. Chu Tongwen quickly retreated. What's wrong? Weren't you very arrogant? Why are you retreating? After Chu Tian finished speaking, he sent another sword chi over. Dragon Roar Golden Bell. Chu Tongwen gave a loud roar. The golden book source spirit above his head suddenly flipped several pages. It released a majestic dragon's roar. A giant golden cover covered Chu Tongwen. This golden cover was not only shining, there was also a faint flood dragon circling around it. When Chu Tian's sword chi hit it, there were only sparks and the sword chi disappeared, not leaving a single mark. Lin Mu and Fang Han were shocked. Such a terrifying defensive power. The rumors were true. The life-stealing scholar Chu Tongwen's golden book source spirit had a total of 7 pages. Each page recorded a mysterious ancient cultivation technique. It could attack, defend, support, and heal, making him an all-rounder. Chu Tian was in big trouble. Chapter 116. The Dragon Roar Golden Bell's defense was very strong. Even someone with the same strength as the triple awakened soul would find it hard to break this defense. Chu Tian couldn't release the power of a fourth heavenly layer cultivator, right? That was almost impossible. At least not now. The fourth awakened soul layer and the triple awakened soul layer, although it seemed like there was only a single level difference, it was a qualitative leap. The awakened soul realm was divided into 3 stages: Void Soul, Illustrious Soul, and True Soul. The Void Soul layer was the first to third layer and was the first stage of the awakened soul realm. If he broke through to the Illustrious Soul realm, his strength would increase by several times. So it could be said that Chu Tongwen could rely on this Dragon Roar Golden Bell to be undefeatable under the Illustrious Soul realm. It was enough to block any attack from Chu Tian. Chu Tongwen looked at Chu Tian with a pitiful gaze. From this slash, you do have a bit of strength, but you want to challenge me with this pitiful strength? Wishful thinking. As soon as Chu Tongwen said this, he found another problem. The place where the sword chi had struck earlier had left behind a wisp of blue flame. Chu Tongwen hadn't paid much attention to it, but after this small wisp of flame appeared, it didn't disappear. It stuck to the defensive barrier and grew bigger and bigger. It was like someone had taken a match and swept it across a piece of wood. The match could not leave a mark on the wood. The flame remained on the wood, slowly burning and swallowing it. Moreover, it was growing bigger and bigger. This flame did not seem like it could burn material, but it could burn energy. How could there be this kind of flame? It was truly a rare sight. Netherworld flame. Chu Tongwen was a very knowledgeable person, immediately recognizing the blue and white flame. His eyes revealed a look of greed. I never thought that you would have this kind of spiritual item on you. It seems like I didn't come here in vain. I'll leave your netherworld flame behind. The little fox loudly called out. Before Chu Tongwen finished speaking, it suddenly blew out and a red shadow shot out at a speed hard to see with the naked eye. Pung. The little needle pierced through the golden bell like a balloon, instantly piercing through it and stabbing at Chu Tongwen's heart. What? Chu Tongwen and General Xiong were shocked. This needle did not have a very strong aura, but it could easily pierce through the defense. This could only mean that there was a problem with the material itself. It was a baby that could ignore energy defense. Chu Tongwen took 2 steps back. His robe was torn apart, revealing a golden silk soft armor. The needle pierced through the soft armor, but it didn't penetrate through. The little fox was so angry that it stomped its feet. With a forceful wave, the needle flew back and was swallowed back into its mouth. What a pity! The needles could ignore elemental energy, but they weren't very powerful. However, no one would have thought that Chu Tongwen was hiding an artifact armor on his body. This kind of sneak attack was very effective. Once the opponent was prepared, it would be difficult to succeed again. Chu Tian patted the little fox's head. It's your first time. It's normal to fail. How dangerous. Chu Tongwen was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat. At the same time, he was completely infuriated. I want you dead. Divine travel 10,000 miles. The golden book source spirit flipped another page, and the golden bell disappeared. Chu Tongwen's body was covered in a layer of wind-attributed energy. With an unbelievable speed, he instantly charged in front of Chu Tian. 10,000 annihilation. The golden book source spirit flipped another page. The wind-attributed energy disappeared, and a black energy gathered on the iron pen. It increased the power of Chu Tongwen's attack by 10 times. Pung. When the iron pen landed on Chu Tian's body, the starlight immortal body was automatically activated. A terrifying strength was released. Chu Tian's starlight glass was shattered, and he was sent flying several meters away, creating a large hole in the ground. This time it was Chu Tongwen's turn to be shocked. Such a strong defense cultivation technique? It can actually block my attack. It was normal for Chu Tongwen to block Chu Tian's attack. Chu Tongwen had the advantage in cultivation. The golden bell was the martial art recorded in the golden book source spirit, and it was the one with the deepest cultivation. It had already reached the large success realm, and there was no one in the same realm that could break it. The concept of Chu Tian blocking Chu Tongwen's attack was completely different. This was an almost impossible matter. This completely subverted common sense. Chu Tongwen gave a cold laugh. You have the netherworld flame and a top-quality defensive cultivation technique. There are more and more interesting things on you. Even if I can't find the token this time, bringing you back to the young master will still be a great merit. Chu Tian had suffered quite a bit of internal injuries, but the starlight immortal body was not just for defense. It immediately adjusted itself and instantly healed his injuries. It seemed like Chu Tian wasn't affected at all. 7-page golden book source spirit? It was only this much. Although they were both book source spirits, the young miss did not have any battle strength and Chu Tongwen had a decent battle strength. To a normal person, it was clear that Chu Tongwen was stronger. But in terms of value, Chu Tian believed that the young miss heavenly book source spirit was worth 1,000 times more than the 7-page golden book. Of course, this was different for each person. If the young miss did not meet Chu Tian, even if the heavenly book source spirit contained many ancient memories, it would not be as good as a battle-type source spirit. Hell's raging flames. The 7-page golden book turned to a new page. Chu Tongwen's pen drew a large rune in the air. Chu Tian suddenly felt the ground beneath his feet tremble, and he slightly knit his brows. The ground suddenly split open and a giant flame burst forth, instantly engulfing Chu Tian's body. Lin Mu and Fang Han felt their bodies turn cold. This life-stealing scholar was really not an undeserved reputation. He was an undefeatable existence. Whether it was close-range attacks, long-range attacks, physical attacks, or energy explosions, he was an expert in all of them. Adding on his defensive abilities, it would be hard for someone of the same level to defeat him. Not to mention a first awakened soul layer little cultivator. The power that the Tianma cult's branch leader displayed was clearly the power of the triple awakened soul. When Chu Tian fought with the Tianma cult's branch leader, he was clearly at a disadvantage. Finally, if it was not for the little fox's surprise attack, Chu Tian might not have been able to defeat the Tianma cult's branch leader. This Chu Tongwen was also at the third body refinement layer. This time the little fox had no way to restrain him, so Chu Tian could only meet him head-on. The difficulty of this could be imagined. After the flame explosion, Chu Tian's starlight dimmed a lot, and the little fox's snow-white fur was burnt black. It angrily bared its fangs and brandished its claws, telling Chu Tian to quickly kill him. 10,000 phase seal. The golden book source spirit opened once again. A seal appeared in Chu Tongwen's palms, and he pressed it against Chu Tian's body. This was a sealing technique. If Chu Tian's spirit energy was sealed by Chu Tongwen, then even if he had the ability to pierce through the heavens and earth, he would not be able to use it. Obviously, Chu Tongwen wanted to seal Chu Tian, and then capture him alive. Chu Tian knit his brows and no longer held back. A terrifying demon god's annihilation energy was released, and the demon god's sword source spirit soared into the sky. A cold pressure suddenly fell onto Chu Tongwen, causing Chu Tongwen's body to tremble. What? What is this source spirit? When Chu Tongwen and General Xiong saw Chu Tian's source spirit, they both revealed looks of shock. This was because this source spirit's aura was too strong. It simply surpassed their imaginations. Impossible. Even if Chu Tongwen was knowledgeable, he still could not recognize this. This source spirit's aura is no weaker than Chu Xinghe's. It even contains an ancient demon god aura that has not been completely excavated. This is a divine sword source spirit. General Xiong muttered. Central State's #1 sword source spirit, isn't it Chu Xinghe? Where did this fellow come from? This fighting technique was similar to the Yin Wen sword art. It was an assassination type of cultivation technique. Chapter 117. Assassination cultivation techniques had a strong explosive power, so it was often fatal. It was fine if he didn't make a move, but once he made a move, victory or defeat would be decided in a single move. Chu Tongwen was shocked, but he revealed a cold smile. You think this kind of method can fool my eyes? Not to mention a scoundrel like you. Even if it was Wan Wui with the large success realm of the Yin Wen sword art, it wouldn't be easy for him to assassinate me in broad daylight. I'll let you see how strong the 7-page golden book source spirit is. Chu Tongwen seemed like he had nothing to fear. The spirit energy around him glowed even brighter. The 7-page golden book source spirit was infused with strong spirit energy, and countless runes appeared. It flipped over several pages, and an eye made of runes appeared. Illusion-breaking golden eyes. Chu Tongwen gave an angry roar and a rune appeared in his eyes. It was clear that he was absorbing the golden book source spirit's power. His pupils became long and narrow and a strong light was released, finally covering his entire eyeball. His eyes became as bright as a lamp and released a strong aura. This pair of eyes contained a strong power. Ordinary demons and devils would be destroyed on the spot with just a glare. In addition, this eye had a strong investigative ability. It could break through illusions and see through things, making it incomparably strong. Chu Tongwen was an all-rounder. Fighting, defending, long-range attacks, close range, scouting, and healing. There was nothing he couldn't do. Because of this, he could deal with any situation and any kind of opponent. When Chu Tongwen confidently displayed his cultivation technique, he was stunned on the spot. A very vague gray shadow filled the surroundings, constantly changing. It was impossible to track it down, and it was impossible to determine its location. Damn. What was going on? Even if it was the large success realm of the Yin Wen sword art, he could still recognize it. This fellow's cultivation technique had not reached the large success realm, but it was hidden so deeply that even Chu Tongwen could not accurately determine its location. This was something Chu Tongwen had never encountered before. The Netherworld Flame Sword was incomparably strong. Once it was used, it would disappear into the Netherworld, and it would be hard to track it down. At this moment, Chu Tian was like an omnipresent death god. He could launch a fatal attack at any moment, leaving people with no way to deal with him. Not good. A strong sense of unease engulfed Chu Tongwen like an overwhelming wave. He hurriedly cancelled the current cultivation method, and reused the golden bell shield to protect his body from all directions. The moment the golden light shrouded the area, a terrifying murderous aura erupted from the endless netherworld. A sharp sword glow covered in netherworld ghost flame turned into a small and fast ray of light as it slammed into the golden bell shield. Dang! A huge crack appeared on the golden bell shield. After this ray of light passed through, it left behind the netherworld ghost fire that continued to burn, causing the incomparably sturdy golden bell shield to instantly dim. Chu Tongwen broke out in a cold sweat. At the same time he heaved a sigh of relief. That's all. Your sword art can't break through my defense. Any assassination-type cultivation technique. He would always accumulate power for a long time, and then achieve a fatal strike. If he couldn't break through the opponent's defense in one strike, then it was basically a failure. Chu Tian had the demon god's sword source spirit, so his sword art was very strong. This slash was even more mysterious, but because of the gap in their cultivation bases, it couldn't break through Chu Tongwen's strong defense. If this brat was at the second awakened soul layer, I'm afraid I wouldn't be his opponent. Chu Tongwen wasn't happy for a few seconds. So, another burning sword glow came down from the ground. It was like a long and narrow ray of light, leaving a deep flaming sword mark on the ground wherever it went. Dang. The sword slashed down on the golden bell shield. Another sword mark was added. The two sword marks overlapped, forming a large burning cross. The ghost flame continued to burn, becoming stronger and stronger. The burning process also weakened the defense. The third slash. The fourth slash. He couldn't see the person, only the sword glow could be seen. Chu Tian's figure disappeared, leaving behind a burning sword glow. From different directions, it wildly slashed at the golden bell shield. 3 slashes, 4 slashes, 5 slashes. More and more cracks appeared on Chu Tongwen's golden bell shield. Because the netherworld ghost flame was becoming stronger, he didn't have time to repair it. He couldn't help revealing a look of shock. This was impossible. This was clearly an assassination technique. But it was like moving clouds and flowing water, growing endlessly and endlessly. As more and more sword glows swept across the golden bell shield, more and more cracks appeared on the golden bell shield. No. The golden bell shield was completely shattered. Chu Tongwen spat out a mouthful of blood from the shock. The deathly sword glow was covered in blue and white flames. It turned into a stream of light that was as sharp as a needle as it shot towards the center of Chu Tongwen's eyebrows. If this attack hit, Chu Tongwen's head would be pierced through. Stay your sword. A deep voice rang out. General Xiong gave a loud roar and a terrifying spiritual roar filled the air, causing Chu Tian to appear from his hiding state. A long sword that was as smooth as ice crystals was covered in blue and white flames. The tip of the sword was only 2-3 centimeters away from the center of Chu Tongwen's eyebrows. Chu Tongwen was so scared that his soul almost left his body. General Xiong walked over and said, "Don't go overboard and stop here. You should have seen the strength of this friend Chu Tongwen. Do you have anything else to say?" Chu Tongwen revealed an angry expression. "Humph. Just wait and see." He didn't have the face to stay here any longer, so he turned around and left. Chu Tian's face was as pale as paper. Although he had used the Netherworld Flame Sword Art, Netherworld Flickering Flame Slash, this move consumed too much of his body. At this moment, Chu Tian had already overdrawn his spirit energy, and he couldn't even stand straight. It was too strenuous to deal with a triple awakened soul expert. Chu Tongwen's spirit energy was much stronger than Chu Tian's. If he could last a bit longer to consume Chu Tian's energy, it would be hard to tell who would win. But Chu Tian was already very satisfied. After all, his Netherworld Flame Sword was only in the small success realm. This ancient sword art was not inferior to the Starlight Immortal Body from the future. General Xiong was not simple, he was clearly above Chu Tongwen. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to force Chu Tian to reveal himself with a single shout. General Xiong looked at Chu Tian with an appreciative gaze. "Don't blame me for stopping you, killing Chu Tongwen will only bring harm to you. This fellow has Chu Xinghe behind him." Chu Xinghe? This was not the first time he had heard this name. "You're very strong, but it's still too early for you to go against Chu Xinghe." General Xiong looked at Chu Tian. "You're almost at your limit, am I right?" "So what?" When Chu Xinghe suppressed his cultivation to the first layer, he used a single slash to tear apart Chu Tongwen's defenses. Lin Mu and Fang Han were both shocked. Brother Lu had used a total of 6 slashes to tear apart Chu Tongwen. This was already something normal people could not understand. It was a heaven-defying feat that surpassed one's imagination. They never thought that Chu Xinghe would be even more monstrous. Of course, Chu Tongwen has followed Chu Xinghe for a year now and his strength has increased by quite a bit, so you can't compare them to each other. But even if it's like this, There is still a large gap between you and Chu Xinghe. After all, Chu Xinghe is the head of the Central State Four Young Masters, and has obtained an ancient sword cultivation technique. His cultivation technique is known as the #1 attack technique in the entire Central State. So strong. He really was worthy of being the most dazzling genius in Central State. Lin Mu and Fang Han did not have any thoughts of resisting. Chu Xinghe has a very strong and overbearing personality. He does not accept any failure in his eyes, even if it's his subordinates. Chu Tongwen losing to a trivial first awakened soul layer cultivator like you. He would not dare report this matter. General Xiong paused for a moment before continuing. Of course, Chu Tongwen is also very proud. He would not admit that he lost to you. Fine. It could only be like this. Chu Tian was not afraid of Chu Xinghe. He dared to cut off Yi Tianlong's arm and provoke Yi Wudao. He was not afraid of another Chu Xinghe. Chu Tongwen's strength was only SOSO. Chu Tian believed that before long, he would not be a threat at all. A person that could not pose a threat, it did not matter if he died or not. Chu Xinghe would compete with him sooner or later, but his cultivation technique was too low, so now was not the time. Many thanks, General Xiong. No need to be polite. You have done a great service in destroying the Tianma cult's branch. If you want any rewards, just tell me and this general will do his best to satisfy you. Chu Tian didn't need anything, and it wasn't convenient for him to reveal his true identity right now, so he said very modestly, "We appreciate General Xiong's good intentions, but I've already gained a lot from this trip, so I don't have any extravagant hopes for other rewards." The little fox had eaten everything it could eat. The other things had been taken away by Lin Mu and Fang Han. General Xiong waved his hand. "You still need to be rewarded. Come with me to Central State, and I'll recommend you to be a former general of Central State. How about it? This is a position with real power. You can command an army of 50,000. Lin Mu and Fang Han were stunned. Former general of Central State? This surnamed Xiong's boldness was too big. General Xiong saw that Chu Tian's strength was shocking, so he cherished this talent. He did not hesitate to throw out such a big position, letting Chu Tian hold a position in Central State. It had to be known that once one became a former general, they would be considered a top character in Central State. Who would have thought that Chu Tian would shrug his shoulders? "I'm sorry, this one is used to being free and unfettered. I'm not suited to the military life. I can only decline the general's good intentions." General Xiong was anxious. How could this be? If this kind of talent was let go, who knew which power would recruit him? At that time, it would be a big loss. Chu Tian continued to say, "General Xiong, we will meet again and it won't be long." General Xiong had no choice but to say, "I'll make you 3 generals. This is a free position, it won't restrict your work." General Xiong was a military position, but it was not a position in the army. Therefore, in most situations, a general was an identity. With this identity, they would be part of the army and it would be much easier to deal with problems. General Xiong brought people to clean up the scene. Chu Tian did not plan on staying here for long. He was prepared to bring the goods from Miracle Commerce back to South Sky City. Therefore, he was prepared to say goodbye to Lin Mu and Fang Han. Lin Mu's face was filled with admiration as he looked at Chu Tian. "Brother Lu, I have a question that I don't know if I should ask or not. Since you've given up your position in the army, it can be seen that you're a person who likes freedom, and being a mercenary is the most free profession. Would you consider becoming a mercenary?" "Become a mercenary?" Chu Tian smiled. Lin Mu quickly said, "I think you're more suitable than me to be a mercenary leader. If you're willing to join, we're willing to follow your lead." Chu Tian of course did not have any plans to become a mercenary. But Chu Tian thought that as Miracle Commerce grew stronger, it still lacked its own armed forces. If a large company did not have its own army, then it would face a difficult situation in the future. Miracle Commerce needed to raise a mercenary group. "I'm not interested in being a mercenary leader." Chu Tian said this and then suddenly paused. "But if you're interested, we can cooperate in the future and do something big together." Lin Mu and Fang Han were stunned and revealed an excited expression. If they could work with this kind of person, it would be a great fortune. "What should we do?" The time isn't right now. Chu Tian gave a mysterious smile. You guys go back to Central State first. As long as the time is right, we'll meet again. At that time, you'll know my true identity. Naturally, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The two of them looked at each other. This was too mysterious. They couldn't see through him at all. Chu Tian's task had already been completed. Not only did he obtain the goods that Tianjin Chamber of Commerce had lost, he had also obtained many benefits, so he didn't need to stay any longer. He spurred his horse on the road. He returned to South Sky City in the shortest time possible. Chapter 118. Although he had only left Tiannan City for a few days, Tiannan City had changed a lot. Several main streets were now equipped with tall street lights. Of course, they were not called street lights. Meng Qinggu called them lighting towers, because the street lights were shaped like a pointed tower. This tower was made of high-strength hardwood, and a large light bulb was fixed at the top. The design could be considered beautiful and it was durable, not easily damaged. This attracted many passers-by to watch. One of Miracle Commerce's most important products, the electric lamp. After a month of preparation, was it finally released? The electric lamps had a very high strategic value to Miracle Commerce. The electric lamps had a large market, benefiting poor families and the common people of the lower classes. While Miracle Commerce's name was raised, it would also give the company a good reputation. Chu Tian returned to the company's headquarters. He first gave the lost 3 lives worm grass to Meng Qinggu, and told her to quickly arrange for people to refine pills. Then Chu Tian summoned Jinghu. During this time in Tiannan City, Jinghu had almost recovered. When he found out that Chu Tian went out alone and brought back the goods, he couldn't help but feel embarrassed. President Chu, the goods have been brought back. This one should go back and report. But what? Jinghu originally wanted to ask for money, but he swallowed the words back. Originally, according to the rules, the material merchant could only bear 50% of the losses while the other half was shared by both parties. This person in front of him was not a good person. The vice president and junior president had fallen in his hands. From the moment they set out to transport the goods, Jinghu had already prepared himself to not get a single copper coin. Not to mention that something had gone wrong midway. Not to mention that the goods had been intercepted. Chu Tian had to personally take action to recover the goods. Jinghu could only say, President Chu, please give me the antidote. This way, this one can go back and report. He most likely wouldn't get the money. At the very least, he had to keep the vice president and junior president alive. Chu Tian handed over a porcelain bottle without hesitation. Take it once every 7 days. It's enough for about a month. I'll give you more after a month. This fellow was indeed ruthless. They wanted to use chronic poison to control the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce for a long time. Jinghu felt indignant but helpless. Who asked him to be weaker? If he could really beat this kid, he would have taken him down back in Hidden Sound Town. I'll take my leave. Wait. President Chu, do you have any other instructions? Jinghu's heart skipped a beat. He thought to himself that this kid wouldn't be insatiably greedy and make some excessive request again, right? The Tianjin Chamber of Commerce had lost the resources near Hidden Sound Town, and had also given away materials worth millions. Although it was not a serious blow, it was still a heavy loss. If this continued, would the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce be able to take it? Chu Tian didn't beat around the bush. He got straight to the point and said, Your goods are not bad. Go back and tell Jing Xian that no matter what channel he uses to collect them, he has to prepare 3 times the amount of 3 lives demonic insects, nether flame grass, and magnetic soundstones. Jinghu's face turned white. This was simply a blood-sucking evil spirit. The Tianjin Chamber of Commerce had taken out all of their stored materials. Who knew if it would be enough to satisfy Chu Tian? If they were to buy them from other places of origin, then the price would increase by a lot. Not to mention 3 times the amount. Even if they didn't increase the price, it would still be 5 to 6 million. It wasn't that the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce couldn't take it out. However, this young master didn't pay. With such a large amount of materials being lost, how could the vice president and junior president hide it? This was simply asking for their lives. Jinghu said with a bitter face. Chu Tian frowned. What? Do you have any other opinions? I don't dare. Jinghu was a yes man. He quickly bowed and cupped his hands. We will think of a way. But we can't guarantee the time. I asked President Chu to wait patiently. You must know that my patience isn't good. So you must hurry. I will only give you 1 week. I will personally go to the central state and see the goods. Do you understand? 1 week? Personally go to the central state. Jinghu felt the world spin. This blood-sucking evil spirit was determined to eat up the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce. Yes. No matter what, he had to go back first. Then this one will take his leave. Wait. Don't tell me you're going to leave just like this? Chu. President Chu. What other orders do you have? Are you a businessman or not? You even forgot to collect the money. Chu Tian waved his hand. Pay them the money. Money. Meng Yingying personally carried a large tray over. She had a small face as she fiercely said, Consider yourself lucky this time. Chu Tian has found the goods. If you dare lose the goods again, we won't pay. The plate was densely packed with gold coin cards, each with a face value of 10,000 gold coins. In addition to the large pile of gold coin cards, there were also several crystal ammunition bottles filled with elixirs. Meng Yingying pretended to be old and experienced as she said, The total value of your goods is 1.05 million gold coins. Miracle Commerce will pay 1 million gold coins. The extra 50,000 gold coins is for your hard work, as well as the compensation for the soldiers killed by Miracle Commerce escorting the goods. Take it. Jinghu did not dare believe his ears. Miracle Commerce had actually paid. Chu Tian had actually paid. Another 50,000 gold coins. Jinghu looked at the pill bottles. What is this? Meng Yingying raised her eyebrows. These are refining qi pills. There are a total of 30 of them. According to the agreement in Hidden Sound Village, you will provide the materials for Miracle Commerce and Miracle Commerce will share a portion of the profits. You have to know that in the underground market, these pills have already reached 10 to 20,000 gold coins. How you want to sell them is up to you. 30 pills, that was at least 300,000 gold coins. More importantly, this was a rare commodity. If the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce could store it, not only would it be useful for internal consumption, it could also be used as a bargaining chip to negotiate with other families. This would bring more profits to the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce. How could Chu Tian be this generous? He already had an absolute advantage. He controlled the vice chairman and young chairman, so there was no need for him to give them these things. He even had a reason to not pay for the goods. Chu Tian did not do this. Not only did he pay for the goods, he even generously gave them extra. What, you think I won't pay? Yes. No, that's not it. Humph, only you would do something like this. If you are heartless, then I will not be righteous. Chu Tian's face was calm as he used a reprimanding tone to say, Go back and tell Jing Xian to remember this. If the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce cooperates, then it will only be good for him. With Miracle Commerce eating meat, you guys will have to drink soup. Reproduction. If you dare play any tricks or do anything that betrays Miracle Commerce, then I, Chu Tian, swear that I will not let you have a good time. Those that go against me will never have a good ending. If the 3 great families are like this, then what do you think you are? Jinghu now only had admiration for Chu Tian. He bowed and cupped his hands as he said, This one will remember this. When I go back, I will definitely tell the vice chairman. Chu Tian waved his hand. All right, hurry up and scram back to Central State. Jinghu left with a face full of excitement. Meng Yingying puffed out her cheeks as she watched Jinghu walk away. Then she turned her head and complained. Our medicine store doesn't even have enough pills to sell. Why do we still have to give them? Chu Tian said with a smile. You idiot. Why are you only thinking about the benefits in front of you? We need to cast a long line to catch a big fish. The Tianjin Chamber of Commerce is the most capable material supplier in Central State. Only by using carrot and stick will we be able to firmly control them and deliver the materials Miracle Commerce needs. Meng Yingying had a straightforward personality. When she found out that the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce was planning to use force to threaten them, she did not have a good impression of the people from the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce. This kind of bad person should be severely taught a lesson. Chu Tian asked, "How come I don't see the young miss?" Meng Yingying tilted her head and thought for a moment before saying, "Elder sister is extremely busy right now. She is preparing to open a trading company in the city center." Chu Tian was a little surprised. "Trading company? I don't really understand." Elder sister said that the trading company is a supermarket, a comprehensive shopping center, with a unified price and clear categories, making it more convenient for the citizens to shop. Meng Yingying proudly said, "You don't know this, but the Miracle Commerce's light bulbs have already reached over 100,000. 100,000? That many?" "That's right." Meng Yingying laughed twice. "There are over 2,000 luxurious light bulbs. This time, the Miracle Commerce's main product will be the electric light bulbs. The pills and talismans we produce will also be sold inside." Elder sister has also gathered the resources of the South Sky City merchants, letting everyone put their products inside the trading company. This really was not a small sales platform. This trading company concept was very advanced. If the Miracle Commerce was promoted on a large scale, it would definitely be able to create a unique brand, becoming an indispensable supermarket. Other than that, the mayor has officially signed a large project, investing around 3 million gold coins to install lighting towers on all the streets of South Sky City. Now our Miracle Commerce is the company with the highest earning power in South Sky City. Chu Tian revealed a faint smile. "How is it? Do you feel a sense of accomplishment?" Meng Yingying forcefully nodded her head. Her little face was filled with emotion. It really wasn't easy. From its founding until now, Miracle Commerce had gone through many trials and tribulations for almost 2 months. It was a perfect counterattack from having nothing to look down on all heroes. The rapid development of Miracle Commerce made Chu Tian very satisfied, and made Meng Yingying very proud. Being able to be a part of this was the happiest thing in her life. "Young Miss is working so hard. We can't just sit around, right? Let's go. I've made something new. I'll bring you over to take a look." Meng Yingying was very curious. What was this? The first few things that Chu Tian had taken, Miracle Commerce still hadn't digested them. Could it be that Chu Tian had something new to take out? Meng Yingying was a very curious person, so she excitedly followed Chu Tian to the back courtyard. She saw a large pile of hidden sound stones piled up here. "Aren't these stones used to make loudspeakers?" Meng Yingying said, "Loudspeakers are very good to use. This thing will definitely sell very well." Chu Tian disdainfully curled his lips. "Loudspeakers? They're just the lowest level goods. I'll let you experience something a bit higher level today. Alright, let's get to work. I want to refine a batch of hidden sound stones." Meng Yingying was curious. Why do you need to refine hidden sound stones? Hidden sound stones are also divided into levels. These hidden sound stones that have just been mined are the lowest level 1 materials, so they can only be used to make the lowest level loudspeakers. If we use special materials and methods to refine the hidden sound stones, then we can display even more uses. Meng Yingying felt this was very interesting. What should we do? Chu Tian revealed a faint smile. "Why do you think I brought back a batch of level 1 electromagnetic crystal stones? If the hidden sound stones and electromagnetic crystal stones are refined together, then we can obtain a level 2 material, magnetic sound stone." Magnetic sound stone? What use does this thing have? Chu Tian kept her in suspense as he said, "Once it's done, you'll naturally know." Chu Tian let Meng Yingying be his helper. He used the electromagnetic crystal stones and hidden sound stones from the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce, and used several profound refining arrays to refine them. Finally, he obtained the level 2 material, magnetic sound stone. The refining process of the magnetic sound stone was carried out through a level 2 array, therefore it could only be done by an awakened soul cultivator. If Chu Tian had not become an awakened soul cultivator, even if he had the materials, he would not have been able to refine this new material. Chu Tian used Meng Yingying's help to build a small tower the height of a person with the magnetic sound stone. He also drew several source energy arrays on the small tower, and placed a source energy battery inside. It's done. Chu Tian activated the source energy array and the small tower lit up. An invisible magnetic field quickly spread out, covering a large area. Meng Yingying did not understand a single thing. What did you do? You don't understand. Chu Tian gave a mysterious smile. This thing is called an electromagnetic broadcast tower. It has many uses, enough to subvert people's knowledge. Chapter 119. Dusk. Meng Qinggu walked back with a tired face. Her white clothes were like snow, her figure was tall, her temperament was mature, just like an otherworldly fairy. There was an ancient bell tied to her waist. With each step she took, it would jingle. Although the sound wasn't loud, it had a penetrating power, as if it could drill into a person's heart. 18 silent black-clothed men, like loyal guards, were meticulously following him. Meng Qinggu was the vice chairman of Miracle Commerce, taking care of almost everything in the company. On the other hand, the chairman Chu Tian lived a carefree life, not participating in the management of the company at all. However, Meng Qinggu really liked her current life. She felt that in the last 2 months, it was far more fulfilling than in the last 20 years. When Meng Qinggu walked into the house, "Hey!" a voice suddenly rang out. This really made Meng Qinggu jump. Because Meng Qinggu was still an awakened soul cultivator. Although her battle strength wasn't that strong, if someone came close, she would still be able to feel it. This voice truly did not have any warning. It simply came out of nowhere. Even after hearing this voice, Meng Qinggu still could not feel any aura of a living person. "Elder sister, it's me, Yingying. Are you back?" Meng Qinggu revealed a confused expression. This voice was not someone else's. It was actually her little sister Meng Yingying's. When she looked over, the source of the voice was a black crystal stone placed on the living room table. What is going on? This crystal stone was completely black. It was like stone, jade, and crystal. She had never seen this kind of material before. When Meng Qinggu picked up the stone with a belly full of suspicion, Chu Tian's panicked voice came from inside. young miss, you're finally back. You have to save me." Meng Qinggu revealed a look of disbelief. "Chu Tian. Why are you inside?" Chu Tian's cheap voice came from inside the stone. "Yingying and I met a terrifying curse. Now we've been sucked in by this stone and sealed. Help. I don't want to turn into stone." "What?" Meng Qinggu was shocked. She couldn't understand what was happening and asked hurriedly. "What's wrong with you? How could a person run into a rock for no reason? What should I do?" At this moment, Yingying's snickering could be heard from within the stone. She seemed to hear Chu Tian whispering to her, "Don't laugh." Meng Qinggu knit her brows. She was not an idiot, so she immediately inspected the stone. There were large amounts of runes engraved on the surface, and there was even a small source energy battery embedded in the sword path. It was most likely a prank. "Great, this bastard hasn't come back for a few days. You've only just returned, and you're already teasing me." Yingying was such an obedient person, but she was led astray by him. When they met a completely new thing, they couldn't quickly accept it, so they couldn't discover its potential. Meng Qinggu was different. Meng Qinggu's comprehension ability was very strong, so she didn't even think before saying, "Yingying, what you said is wrong. The invention of the radio is enough to cause a giant revolution. A revolution in the media." Media? The main medium of information on the continent is paper. Whether it is a large or small country, the only way people can obtain information is through newspapers and official documents. Once this invention comes out, the situation will be completely different. Chu Tian nodded his head. The young miss is right. With this technology, Miracle Commerce can have its own media, and it will be a completely new media. We can make radio stations and large amounts of radios, letting people become our listeners. Think about it. When the radios produced by Miracle Commerce are promoted in large amounts, entering tens of thousands of households, there will be no need to go out on the streets, no need to go out, and no need to ask for information. They will be able to obtain the latest news and information from the radio. People's lives will become very convenient. In the future, we can even invent a wearable radio. allowing people to wear the radio on their body. No matter what time, no matter where, even in the wilderness, they can turn on the radio. As long as they are within the range of the signal, they will be able to receive information. This will be a very convenient matter. Meng Yingying didn't understand, but she felt it was amazing. The appearance of this radio seemed very convenient, especially the wearable radio that Chu Tian described. As long as they wore it on their body, they would be able to listen to the broadcast and receive the latest news from the city. Wasn't this a very convenient matter? This was a new media. It contained a very high commercial value. Chu Tian continued, the invention of the radio will not only have a great impact on traditional media, but the radio is not just a simple communication medium. It is the prelude to society entering the information age. Not only can it bring convenience to people's lives, it can also provide entertainment and leisure, pushing forward the progress of civilization. Meng Qinggu didn't think so far ahead. The radio can have so many uses? Chu Tian smiled slightly. Of course, the electromagnetic tower can use different broadcasting arrays to transmit signals of different frequencies. The radio can switch frequencies to listen to different channels. This will greatly enrich the content and selectivity of the radio. We can create a channel that specializes in broadcasting news. We can create a channel that specializes in reading stories and telling anecdotes. We can also create a channel that specializes in shopping. We can even create a channel that specializes in teaching the latest cultivation techniques and technology. Do you know what this means? Meng Qinggu nodded, her voice trembling as she said, this means almost everyone can become our loyal listeners. That's right. Chu Tian revealed a mysterious smile. The radio will use its unique charm to attract a large group of loyal listeners. Star anchors will be born in every field. They will have a large group of fans and worshippers. They will gather a powerful force for miracle commerce. At that time, who will dare to touch our miracle commerce? Meng Qinggu found it hard to imagine. After this technology was fully developed, what kind of scene would it be? In this era, entertainment was scarce, communication was blocked, and the spiritual life was barren. People had almost no way to entertain themselves, and the method of obtaining information and knowledge was also very primitive. Chu Tian had forcefully put the radio, which would only appear a few thousand years later, into the current society. He didn't know what kind of reaction it would cause. This technology is currently still in the testing stage. The electromagnetic crystal stones we obtained from the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce are too few and have already been used up. We need to buy more electromagnetic crystal stones in order to smelt the magnetic sound stones. This wasn't a problem. As long as they had the mature technology, materials, factories, and other things with Miracle Commerce's current flourishing state, it wasn't hard to provide them. Meng Qinggu thought for a few minutes and said, this kind of sensational invention, I don't think it's suitable to announce it in South Sky City. Why? Meng Qinggu replied, Miracle Commerce's reputation in South Sky City has already reached its peak. I think it's time for us to take another step forward and open a new world in Central State, pushing the company to new heights. Go to Central State? Chu Tian pondered for a bit before nodding his head. Perhaps it's time. Meng Qinggu said, the Miracle Commerce store will be opening in a few days and the electric light will be officially released. I want to start the plan to enter Central State after this is over. Alright. Chu Tian didn't have any objections at all. He had to go to Central State sooner or later. That was a complicated place with many families, and there were the dazzling 4 young masters there. Once Chu Tian entered Central State, it would definitely be a reign of terror. Chapter 120. In the next few days, South Sky City's main streets, plazas, and other public places would all be equipped with very sturdy lighting towers. A piece of exciting news was announced. The Miracle Commerce store was about to have a grand opening. Miracle Commerce's vice chairman, Meng Qinggu, announced that Miracle Commerce's electric lamps would be sold in the Miracle Commerce store. When the news was announced, the entire South Sky City was shocked. Actually, before the official announcement, Miracle Commerce had already used their super loudspeaker to bombard the entire city for several days. From the rich and powerful to the commoners, There was no one who didn't know about it. Lin Fan was one of them. Lin Fan was 16 years old, 5th body refinement layer cultivator. He was born in a normal family and was a poor child. His biggest dream was to break through to the 6th body refinement layer before he was 20 years old. Then he would rely on a powerful family, earn money, marry a wife and have children, living an ordinary life. Over a month ago, Chu Tian had appeared out of nowhere. Lin Fan had been paying attention to this young man from the beginning. His ordinary and lowly background, his legendary rise, from seeing through the Han family's evil plan, to shocking the world at South Sky Summit, then defeating the 4 families, and finally beating the butt of one of the 4 young masters, Yi Wudao, in front of the terrifying demon god Yi Tianlang. All of these shocking actions were extremely shocking, bold and unconstrained, with a unique and shocking talent. A real man's life was like this, happy with gratitude and hatred, blood surging, dying with no regrets. After Lin Han was deeply shocked and moved, he became a loyal worshipper of Chu Tian, madly collecting information about Chu Tian. Every time Miracle Commerce made a breakthrough, Lin Fan would feel happy for them. Gradually, Lin Fan's values, outlook on life, and ideals all changed. To live an ordinary life, that was not the life he wanted. Lin Fan wanted to break through his ordinary self, break through his ordinary hopes, break through his ordinary life. He decided to follow in Chu Tian's footsteps, to witness the rise of a miracle era. That's right. An era of miracles. This man could create an era of miracles. Thousands of years later, when countless people read about him in the history books, they would all be filled with respect and awe. Lin Fan felt that he was very lucky. He was born at the right time. He was born in the right place. He was about to see a living legend. Brother, brother. A tall woman rushed in. Although she was dressed very simply, she looked beautiful and gentle. Have you heard? The Miracle Commerce store is about to open. Lin Xian, Lin Fan's sister. Lin Xian was at the 4th rank of body refinement, slightly weaker than her little brother. Lin Xian's dream was to become an alchemist, and like her little brother, she fanatically worshipped the miraculous youth, Chu Tian. Lin Fan slammed the table and stood up. Nonsense, how could I not know about such a big thing? Quick, look for Huzi, Niu, and the others. We must hurry. Lin Xian and Lin Fan quickly contacted 5 or 6 youths. These youths were all very young. The oldest was no more than 20 years old, and the youngest was only 13 or 14 years old. They all had something in common. They were all full of youthful vigor. Their eyes were filled with the flames of struggle. They all had the same halo above their heads, Chu Tian's fanatical worship. In a shabby study, 8 hot-blooded youths sat together. The walls of the study were covered with newspaper clippings. Almost every piece of news had the words Chu Tian and miracle written on it. Today we are gathering in the Heaven's Alliance. Everyone should know why. Heaven's Alliance. It sounded very domineering. Actually, it was a small group of 8 people. The Heaven in the Heaven's Alliance was taken from Chu Tian's name. The so-called Heaven's Alliance was actually the alliance that Chu Tian worshipped the most. A fat man stood up. Of course. We are going to support our idol. A girl excitedly said. Do you think we can see our idol today? We can. We definitely can. Lin Fan's eyes flashed with flames. Our idol's store is about to open. Shouldn't we support it? Does that even need to be said? Those pills are too expensive. We definitely can't afford them. But if we pool our money to buy some electric lights, I think it won't be a problem. Everyone, let's pool our money. I have 2 gold and 16 silver. I have 1 gold, 58 silver, and 13 copper. The consumption of cultivation was too large. People from poor families wished they could split a single copper to spend. Normally they relied on hard labor and hunting teams to earn a bit of money, but it wasn't even enough for them to spend. But to support their idol, what did this bit of money count for? Let's go. We're going to reserve a spot. The 8 of them gathered 15 gold coins and each person spent a few copper coins to buy dry rations and drinking water. That very night, they went to the Miracle Commerce store to reserve a spot. The store officially opened on the 2nd day. The 8 of them had gone the night before, so it could be imagined how enthusiastic they were. The Miracle Commerce store was located in the center of South Sky City. Miracle Commerce spent 500,000 gold coins to buy the largest and most luxurious building in South Sky City. In just a short 10 days, they had completed the basic renovations and opened it as a shopping center. When the 8 of them arrived, the Miracle Commerce store was already surrounded by people. Lin Xian knit her brows and said, "These people actually came." There were quite a few familiar faces among these people, with a large portion of them being young people. They were all admirers of Chu Tian, so they came early to reserve a spot, hoping to see Chu Tian's glory. Other than that, there were also many businessmen and media people. The sun rose and set. An entire day passed by. The Miracle Commerce store was already filled with a sea of people. When dusk fell, everyone was filled with excitement. The Lin sisters clenched their fists. Although they hadn't slept for a day, they were still full of energy. Their faces were filled with anticipation, and their eyes seemed to be glued to the closed door. Suddenly, pa. All the light towers in Tiannan City's plaza were automatically turned on. The light immediately lit up the dusky plaza. The light towers in the nearby streets were also turned on. Tiannan City was filled with several long lines of light, which made people extremely excited. Why are these road lighthouses turning on by themselves? Could it be magic? Everyone was filled with excitement and confusion at the same time. Lin Fan and Lin Xian revealed looks of disdain. They didn't even know, so of course it was their idol who researched it. There was a light blocking array inside the array. When the ambient light dropped to a certain degree, the light blocking array would lose its effect, and the illumination array would light up. The road lighthouses in the city, unless there was a problem, there was no need to manually operate them. This was a very convenient invention. This was a permanent solution. At this time, a melodious music came from the top of the store. That sound was enough to cover the entire plaza. It was light and long, calming people down. The noisy crowd suddenly quietened down. Loudspeakers. It was loudspeakers. Everyone could clearly see that on the top of the Miracle Commerce store, there were several large loudspeakers installed. The music was coming from these loudspeakers. Strange, where was the performer? Although they had seen Miracle Commerce's loudspeakers more than once, for the loudspeakers to sound meant that there was someone using them. Now they could only see the loudspeakers and no one, so how could the loudspeakers make a sound? Welcome everyone to the opening ceremony of the Miracle Commerce store. We invite the chairman to give a speech. The heavy doors of the store finally slowly opened, and a golden light shined out. A man and a woman, 2 white figures, stepped on a luxurious red carpet, slowly walking out of the building. The woman was tall, had a noble temperament, a full figure, and a beauty that could topple cities. She was just like a fairy that descended to the mortal world, making it hard for people to have any thoughts of blasphemy. The young man was wearing a white robe, carrying a simple treasured sword on his back. He was handsome and confident, with a calm demeanor. That pair of jet-black eyes were as bright as the stars, making people feel inferior. Meng Qinggu Chu Tian, the 2 chairmen of Miracle Commerce, an awakened soul realm cultivator, a legend of South Sky City. Chu Tian. Chu Tian. Chu Tian. Lin Xian and Lin Fan finally saw their idol up close. They excitedly shouted out. It was like a dream. It was filled with an unreal feeling. Chu Tian and Meng Qinggu began to give a short speech. The 2 of them did not like to use flowery words, so their speech was short and powerful. After the speech, South Sky City's Mayor Nangong Yi, the Alchemist Guild's President Xiong Tianyan, the Symbol Master Guild's President Zhang Liqing, and several top business leaders of South Sky City all gave their speeches. How spectacular was this lineup? It could simply be called the most luxurious appearance in South Sky City's history. The Miracle Commerce store is about to officially open for business. On the first day of the Miracle Commerce store, we have prepared a total of 20,000 electric lamps and 60,000 items. Starting from today, for 7 days, the Miracle Commerce store will prepare over 100,000 gold coins worth of lucky draws every day. As long as you shop at the Miracle Commerce store, everyone will have a chance to draw a prize every day. I wish everyone good luck. The sound that came from the super loudspeaker spread across the crowd. When the Miracle Commerce store announced the opening, Lin Fan and the other 8 people excitedly roared out. They were the first to charge into the Miracle Commerce store. When they entered the Miracle Commerce store, everyone was stunned by the scene in front of them. This was simply a labyrinth. Medicine, talismans, weapons, materials, all kinds of daily necessities, and even food. There were several hundred Miracle Commerce sales attendants standing guard at their posts, waiting for customers to arrive. The interior of the Miracle Commerce store was as bright as day. All the chandeliers were self-made electric lamps, and they were the super luxurious ones. They were all carved from crystal, and had very high light transmission. These luxurious lamps were priced at several tens of thousands of gold coins by Miracle Commerce. They were even more expensive than crystal lamps. It was hard to make crystal lamps look this luxurious. Miracle Commerce could freely design the structure of the electric lamps, so they could produce all kinds of luxurious lamps. Because of this, the price of the luxurious lamps was very high. The most expensive one could reach 100,000 gold coins, and it had already been reserved by the city lord's palace. Normal lamps were very cheap, ranging from 20 to 30 silver coins to 70 to 80 silver coins. The more expensive ones were only 1 gold coin. This kind of price was something normal people could accept because compared to crystal lamps of the same effect, the Miracle Commerce lamps were several tens or even 100 times cheaper. Moreover, they had a longer lifespan, less radiation, and less harmful substances, so they were much safer to use. Thank you for coming to the Miracle Commerce store. What goods do you need? We want to buy lamps. Lin Fan, Lin Xian, and the others quickly rushed to the center area. This place was dedicated to displaying all kinds of lamps. For poor cultivators like Lin Fan and Lin Xian, crystal lamps were undoubtedly luxurious. Every night, they could only use oil lamps and candles to study and research. This would undoubtedly bring a lot of inconvenience. Buying a good lamp to them was very meaningful. The 8 of them bought a household lamp for only 40 silver coins. In this era, this price was simply a miracle. They supported their idols. It also satisfied their needs. This was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. When they brought the lamps to the counter to pay the bill, and were about to leave in satisfaction, they were suddenly stopped by the cashier. Everyone, please wait a moment. Miracle Commerce has prepared a gift worth over 100,000 gold coins. Everyone will have a chance to draw a prize every day. Do you want to draw a prize? Draw, why not draw? The fatty was the first to draw a prize. It's a pity that you did not draw any prizes, but we can give you a Du family's iron dagger as a consolation prize. Du family's iron dagger? This was worth at least several dozen silver coins. Miracle Commerce was truly rich. They were even this generous with a consolation prize? Lin Xian went up to draw. Congratulations, you've drawn the 3rd prize. You've received 2 months of free lessons from the Alchemist Guild. Long live the idol. Lin Xian was so excited that she almost went crazy. 2 months of free lessons from the Alchemist Guild. This was more exciting to her than any material reward. The others all went up to draw. Congratulations, you've received the 4th prize. You've received a rock skin talisman. The rock skin talisman was the hottest selling talisman recently. It couldn't be bought on the market at all. Selling it for several dozen gold coins. This was more than what the 8 of them spent in Miracle Commerce combined. Miracle Commerce was truly a compassionate company. Everyone went up to draw. The others only received a consolation prize, a random gift of around 10 silver coins. But this was still not bad. Lin Fan was the last to go up. He excitedly reached his hand into the lottery box and pulled out a small golden ball. Congratulations. This is the 1st prize. You've received a Southern Cloud Commerce Chi refining pill. Everyone was stunned. They could only hear the sound of saliva being swallowed. Chapter 121. Training Chi Pill. The exclusive training Chi pill developed by Miracle Commerce. All the large families fought over it, but they couldn't even buy one. The underground market sold 1 training Chi pill for 10 to 20,000 gold coins. Lin Fan spent a few dozen silver coins to buy a table lamp, and actually won a prize worth 10,000 gold coins. As long as he sold it, Lin Fan would become a millionaire with over 10,000 gold coins. He would no longer need to risk his life to hunt demon beasts for a few gold coins. What kind of luck was this? It was enough to make people crazy with jealousy. The loudspeaker began to broadcast. The news was directly sent to every corner of the shopping center. The people who were shopping were all stunned when they heard this. They even had training chi pills. Wasn't miracle commerce too generous? The entire atmosphere became 10 times hotter. Chu Tian personally placed a bottle with the pill in it into Lin Fan's hands. This is your prize, your luck isn't bad. Lin Fan, Lin Xian and the others were so excited they almost fainted. Originally winning the prize was a surprise that fell from the sky, but what was even more unexpected was that Chu Tian would personally deliver the prize. Being able to be so close to their idol. How could these youths not be excited? They were so nervous they couldn't even speak. Chu Tian clapped his hands. The prize is a bit expensive, so I will send a few miracle commerce guards to escort you home for free. You don't need to worry about your safety. Too considerate. Miracle Commerce's service was too satisfying. A few Miracle Commerce guards immediately came out and escorted the 6 of them back to their residences. When they returned home, Lin Fan regained his senses. He tightly held the training chi pill in his hand, but his heart was in a dilemma. He could choose to sell it and exchange it for a lifetime of money, or he could choose to use the training chi pill to increase his strength a bit and have more opportunities to chase after a wider space. 2 choices. No matter which one he chose, he could lose a lot of things. This was a simple choice. The others knew what Lin Fan was thinking. Lin Xian encouraged him. Little brother, don't hesitate. No matter what you do, we will support you. Lin Fan gratefully nodded his head. He did not think too long about this problem. He turned on his table lamp, and the light instantly illuminated the entire table. Under the soft and bright light, the countless newspaper fragments on the table and wall were like a belief that poured into Lin Fan's heart, giving him endless courage. I've decided. I want to become stronger. Lin Fan directly swallowed the qi refining pill. The effects of the qi refining pill were not in vain. On the spot, his strength rose to the 6th rank of body refinement. Reaching the 6th rank of body refinement at the age of 17 was rare in the entire Tiannan city. It was enough for him to shine in the summit competition. At least 2 to 3 years of bitter cultivation. This was all brought about by miracle commerce. Lin Xian gave him a hug excitedly. Congratulations. The other 6 people were also sincerely happy for Lin Fan. Fatty shouted excitedly. Come, let's go drink and celebrate. The curtain of night fell, and the sky was filled with stars. It was already late at night. The 8 youths bought a few barrels of low-quality beer and climbed to the top of a dilapidated building. As far as the eye could see, most of the main streets of Tiannan City were shrouded in lights. Many homes also had electric lights on. It was dotted with stars. It shone with the stars in the sky. Miracle Commerce really did it. A month ago when it was founded, Meng Qinggu made a passionate promise that Miracle Commerce would light up the entire Tiannan City. At the time, most people thought it was just a slogan. Who would have thought that in a short month, they would actually accomplish it? If this trend continued, sooner or later Tiannan City would be shrouded in the light of a miracle. The entire central state would be shrouded in the light of a miracle. The entire southern Xia would be lit up. It would even break through the borders of the mainland and become a shining light of miracle. Lin Fan and the others were overwhelmed with emotions. Would this moment be recorded in the annals of history in the years to come? Would it become a legend that was passed down by bards? They had once again witnessed a miracle. Cheers! For our idols. We have to work hard. We may not be strong enough right now, but we will definitely become a member of Miracle Commerce. The 8 hot-blooded youths raised their wine cups high. Facing the night sky, facing the lights of the city, they made heroic words that would motivate them to move forward in their lives. In Tiannan City, it was unknown how many of these youths there were. Chu Tian had not only changed the lives of the citizens, he had also become a role model for countless youths, making them willing to follow in his footsteps. The next day, the headquarters of Miracle Commerce were extremely busy. Meng Yingying was in charge of the statistics. On the first day of business, The numbers were simply shocking. They had actually sold 3 million gold coins worth of goods. Meng Yingying almost suspected that she had made a mistake. She carefully calculated it a few times and it was indeed the numbers. The entire business had been swept clean. Of the 3 million gold coins, 1.5 million came from Miracle Commerce's goods. The other 1.5 million came from the other companies in Tiannan City, selling their goods to Miracle Commerce. This was too shocking. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes. When Nangong Yi found out about Miracle Commerce's glorious results, he was no longer pleasantly surprised, but rather terrified. How could the people of Tiannan City have this kind of terrifying purchasing power? Tiannan City's economy had been strongly stimulated by Miracle Commerce. The mayor's palace had suffered a large loss. Miracle Commerce was currently tax-free. No matter how glorious Miracle Commerce's results were, as long as it was Miracle Commerce's goods, the mayor's palace would not receive a single copper coin as tax. Miracle Commerce's profits were very shocking. A luxurious chandelier worth 100,000 gold coins. The total cost was less than 1,000 gold coins. A qi refining pill sold for 10 to 20,000 gold coins in the underground market. The total cost was less than a few hundred gold coins. Miracle Commerce had become Tiannan City's most profitable and most powerful company. When Nangong Yi's face was filled with depression, Meng Qinggu came to find Nangong Yi and talked to him about becoming a shareholder. What? Let me become a shareholder? Nangong Yi simply did not dare believe it. What conditions, tell me? Meng Qinggu nodded her head. Miracle Commerce currently does not lack money. We will transfer 10% of the company's shares, and you will be the company's manager. You will be responsible for coordinating the company's layout and spreading relations with suppliers. It was not Miracle Commerce's shares. It was just the company. Meng Qinggu said, Miracle Commerce's goal is to become the largest trading platform in the country, so we need the support of the Nangong family. The mayor is an elder of the Nangong family, so you will be the company's manager. This is very suitable for the company's expansion strategy. Meng Qinggu came to give him the shares. Of course there was a favor involved. But Meng Qinggu was a shrewd businesswoman. She was thinking more about the company's development. Nangong Yi was an elder of the Nangong family and he was hard to find, so he had a large growth potential. Once he became the manager, it would be a great help to the company's expansion. Meng Qinggu was not trying to win over Nangong Yi, but rather the Nangong family's support and resources. To let Nangong Yi understand, Meng Qinggu clearly introduced her plan. The Miracle Commerce store was called the Miracle Department Store, and was also called the Miracle Supermarket. It was an integrated retail model that was rarely seen in southern Xia, and even on the continent. There were as many companies on the continent as there were hairs on an ox, and as dense as the stars in the sky. Even if it was the same product, different companies would sell it at different prices. There were all kinds of repeated marketing strategies that made it hard for the consumers to grasp. The continent was vast and the species were complex. Each region and each environment had their own specialties and special products, but it was hard for them to circulate among each other. The Miracle Commerce store wanted to create a large-scale affordable chain store. It could stabilize the price for a long time and sell a few popular products, attracting a large amount of popularity for the company. Other than producing and selling their own products, they also had the concept of a platform. Meng Qinggu was prepared to bring in the best and most cost-effective suppliers. They would provide high-quality products for the company to sell, and Miracle Commerce would take a cut of the profits. In South Sky City, the Miracle Commerce store had already reached an agreement with several manufacturers. So when the Miracle Commerce store opened, not only would there be products from Miracle Commerce, there would also be products from several companies in South Sky City. That was why they had a total of 3 million in sales. These companies would supply a portion of their products to the Miracle Commerce store and sell them through Miracle Commerce's channels. Miracle Commerce would take a cut of the profits as compensation. This was actually a win-win situation. Miracle Commerce was currently the largest company. The other companies were worried that Miracle Commerce would wildly expand and swallow the other companies. But now the situation was different. Not only did Miracle Commerce not swallow the other companies, it even gave them a chance to take out their best products and sell them on the Miracle Commerce Store's platform. There would be more and more Miracle Commerce stores. The Miracle Commerce's influence would spread even more. This also meant that as long as the quality of the products was up to standard, their products would follow the Miracle Commerce Store and be sold to nearby cities, even to the main city. Each city had its own special products. Only in a closed society, other people's territories had already formed their own ecosystem. Unless there was a company like Miracle Commerce that was filled with competition and had the ability to expand like a wolf. Just think about it. Which city could resist the enticement of electric lights? Just think about it. Which city could resist the beauty of source energy cooking? In the future, there would be all kinds of talismans, pills, and even magical things like radios. With these stepping stones, Miracle Commerce could easily break into the markets of all the major cities. They had the confidence to find strong partners in each city. This was a company with the potential of the entire country. What reason did they have to reject it? From a consumer's point of view, not only was it convenient for their lives, they could buy most of the things they needed in their lives in a single store. They could also buy all kinds of special medicines, talismans, and other products at a reasonable price. This was something that was hard to achieve in the past. From a Miracle Commerce's point of view, Miracle Commerce did not need to personally make large amounts of production lines. They only needed to invest in and control a few manufacturers. They would have them supply Miracle Commerce Store for a long time, turning Miracle Commerce Store into a strong mothership. No matter where this mothership went, it would be invincible. This was because the mothership carried the best products and technology from different cities. How could the local companies compete with them? There was no doubt. Meng Qingwu's business ideas were ahead of the current era. Miracle Commerce could use the electric lights and their own top-quality products to sell in the company. Would they be afraid that the company wouldn't welcome them? As long as the company was popular, would they be afraid of not being able to attract partners? Strong competitiveness. Adding a strong protective umbrella. Miracle Commerce Store's success was inevitable. Meng Qingwu was filled with confidence. Nan Gongyi was stunned by Meng Qingwu's words. With Chu Tian's talent and your wisdom, with your combination, Southern Xia's sky will change. Meng Qingwu revealed a faint smile. My little cleverness is just icing on the cake. Chu Tian's talent and wisdom is the core. It was a good thing Chu Tian wasn't here. Otherwise his nose would have been raised to the sky. What does the city lord think about it? There's no need to think about it. This kind of good thing, how could I reject it? I'll be the manager of the company. Meng Qingwu took out several contracts. After signing the contract, you'll officially join Miracle Commerce. Please take a look at the things you need to pay attention to. You represent the Nangong family, but you can't destroy the company's core benefits. Otherwise, Miracle Commerce will have the right to buy back your shares. Nan Gongyi said with a sigh. Chairman Meng is very cautious. Under your management, Miracle Commerce will be watertight. Nan Gongyi looked over the contracts a few times. They all signed their names. From now on, the city lord is also a member of Miracle Commerce. Meng Qingwu nodded in satisfaction. Then she took out a jade slip and gave it to Nan Gongyi. This is the Starlight Immortal Body cultivation technique. Only the high-level members of Miracle Commerce have the qualifications to practice it. Once you've memorized it, burn it. This is the company's secret and cannot be leaked. Starlight Immortal Body? Nan Gongyi revealed a look of joy. This incomparably strong defensive cultivation technique, Nan Gongyi had been drooling over it for a long time. With his volcano source spirit, its destructive might was very shocking, but it took a long time to gather, and it was easy for him to be injured in close combat. If he had a strong enough defensive cultivation technique, Nan Gongyi was confident that with his 4th Awakened Soul Layer strength, he could fight against a 5th Awakened Soul Layer expert. Now that we're going to their territory to develop, will they give us any face? I'm afraid there will be many difficulties and dangers. So I decided to go first. Ah. Meng Yingying's eyes widened. You're going to act alone again? Chu Tian nodded his head and said, Miracle Commerce has just developed to a new peak. The young miss has a lot of things to deal with every day, and can't leave even if she wants to. As for you, you can stay and help your sister. If you have nothing to do, learn from her. That was indeed the case. Meng Qinggu couldn't leave for the time being. Miracle Commerce had just been established, and it was a long-term strategic project. Meng Qinggu could only feel assured if she did it herself. From a safety point of view, Chu Tian had the ability to hide himself when he entered the main city. If he brought the Meng Qinggu sisters, they would definitely be discovered by their enemies. It was unknown how many dangers they would encounter on the road. Meng Yingying had a look of discouragement. Elder sister couldn't go because elder sister was strong. Miracle Commerce couldn't do without her. As for Yingying not going, it was because there was no use in bringing her along. Instead, it would easily expose Chu Tian. Although it was a bit depressing, Meng Yingying had to admit that this was the truth. Half a month. Chu Tian made a rough estimate. Give me half a month and I'll spread the name of Miracle Commerce in Central State. It won't be too late for you to come at that time. Chu Tian decided to use the same trick again. He changed his appearance again, faking his identity and entering the city without changing his expression. He would first contact Nangong Yun in the main city and secretly build a foundation. When the time was right, he would reveal his identity. With lightning-fast speed, Miracle Commerce would quickly gain a foothold in the main city. In order to be secretive, Chu Tian didn't even want to bring the 18 Corps soldiers. The 18 Corps soldiers could fight against a peak 4th awakened soul layer expert, but if he brought the Corps soldiers with him, it would be very easy to reveal his identity. This would go against his original intentions. Meng Yingying's large eyes were filled with worry. Can you really go to the main city alone? Chu Tian casually waved his hand. What are you worried about? Don't you believe in my skills? There's no one in this world that can take me in. You can relax in South Sky City and cultivate. I'll handle everything in the main city. You can't be lazy. If your cultivation base and Starlight Immortal body don't increase in 2 weeks, be careful of me spanking your butt. Meng Yingying's face turned red and she angrily said, Relax. I'll definitely surpass you. Meng Qinggu knit her brows and thought about it for a few seconds. This was indeed the most appropriate method. Miracle Commerce was currently at its busiest, and the Central State families would never have thought that Chu Tian would enter the main city at this time. She nodded and said, What do you need? I'll prepare it for you. Chu Tian replied, Central State's environment is different from South Sky City. The families there are very strong. If I bring South Sky City's current technology, like the electric lamp or the source energy pot, to Central State City, I'll definitely be discovered. So if I want to remain calm, I can only take out other things. Meng Qinggu blurted out. Make magnetic sound towers and radios. That's right, this is one of the plans. Chu Tian paused and then said, It's best if Miracle Commerce doesn't send out large amounts of materials to avoid being noticed by the Central State forces. Hidden Soundtown's mines have always been controlled by Tianjin Chamber of Commerce, therefore Tianjin Chamber of Commerce must have enough hidden sound stones. I only need to bring 5 million gold coins. Directly bring cash. Buy whatever you need. Reducing contact with Miracle Commerce like this was undoubtedly the safest way. Meng Qinggu gathered as much money as she could and exchanged 7 million gold coins for gold cards. Each card had 10,000 gold coins, and there was a total of 700 of them. Chu Tian turned back into the ordinary-looking young man Lu Run. He changed into a rogue cultivator's clothes and wrapped it in a rag. He stuffed the large sum of money into it, and prepared to leave on the same day. You have to be careful. Me and elder sister will leave in half a month. Meng Yingying sent Chu Tian out with a face filled with worry and melancholy. Don't worry, when have I ever disappointed anyone? Chu Tian pinched her nose and gave a few loud laughs. I'll leave first, I'll see you in half a month. Meng Yingying watched Chu Tian's back as he left. She chased after him to the door and shouted, You be careful on the other side, I'll definitely work hard to cultivate and study. This little girl. South Sky City was given to Meng Qinggu. Chu Tian was not worried at all. Nangong Yi, Xiong Tianyan, Zhang Liqing and Xiong Bing. The 4 of them were enough to provide a solid backing for Miracle Commerce. Meng Qingwu's own ability was not bad. After studying with Chu Tian these days, Meng Qingwu had become half a student of Chu Tian. Because she had the heavenly book source spirit, Meng Qingwu had a learning ability that surpassed normal people. Although she hadn't studied for a long time, Meng Qingwu had already completely grasped the technology of the main products. Even if Chu Tian wasn't here, Meng Qingwu had enough ability to support the technology. Just like this. Chu Tian bought a high-quality horse and rode it in the direction of the main city. On the road, Chu Tian thought a lot. From arriving in this era to meeting Meng Yingying, the young miss and Nangong Yun, he found that he had completely integrated himself into this place. Now, miracle commerce had reached the small success stage. Chu Tian had an indifferent appearance on the surface, but it made Meng Qingwu and Meng Yingying feel that the entire company was just a tool for him to make money and cultivate. It was just a dispensable plaything. Actually, Chu Tian was happier than anyone else in his heart. This was a very good start. Chu Tian believed that if this trend continued, miracle commerce would expand in the next few years. It would wantonly occupy the continent's resources and become a supergiant. When Chu Tian had enough material, strength, and technology, he could begin to move towards his goal and dream. Break the shackles of life and death. Explore the domain of life and death. Break the shackles of time and space and explore the unknown world. There were too many things that Chu Tian wanted to do. These things could not be achieved in his previous life, but now there was still hope. Chu Tian would continue walking in this direction. South Sky City was 1,000 kilometers away from the main city. Chu Tian rode a demon beast bloodline horse, but it took him a full 2 days to reach the main city. The main city had a superior location. To the east was an endless mountain range. The primeval forest covered more than 1,000 miles. There were many rare beasts and heavenly treasures. The outer area had already begun to be developed. Mines, forests, and hunting grounds were very densely distributed. To the south was a boundless grassland. The land was fertile and rich in resources. There were tens of thousands of tamed cattle and sheep. Large areas of the mountains were filled with all kinds of medicinal herbs and spirit fields. To the north was a vast misty lake. There were thousands of boats and large amounts of goods piled up at the docks. There were tens of thousands of workers loading and unloading goods. The grassland, lake, forest, and the main city stood in the center. The city was made of white stone and looked like a white fortress. It had a total of 4 to 5 layers of walls. The deeper one went, the thicker the walls became. It was both exquisite and majestic. It was like an incomparably large trapezoid, filled with an artistic feeling. This was the central state main city. Abundant spiritual energy, blessed by the heavens, convenient transportation, and flourishing. Chu Tian could clearly see that there were many ancient ruins around Central State City. Even the inside of Central State City gave off a strong ancient aura. There was a very ancient and natural restriction that forcefully gathered the surrounding spiritual energy for several hundred miles around Central State City. Chu Tian had never seen this kind of restriction before. From the style, it did not seem like it was made by humans. It could be the work of an ancient race. If his guess wasn't wrong, Central State City was a city built on ruins. Central State City itself had a very deep secret. There were even hidden treasures left behind from ancient times. No wonder it was so rich. Chapter 123. Chu Tian was like a travel-worn traveler as he walked into the city. Central State City's streets were several times wider than South Sky City's, and each street was split into 2, one big and one small. One was for beast carts and the other was for people. Beast carts came and went on the streets, and it did not seem to be congested at all. Central State City is truly extraordinary. Chu Tian looked around. On the streets of Central State City, there were all kinds of shops, dojos, and training halls. The streets were filled with cultivators, and they were all dressed very well. Each person belonged to a different family. The color of their clothes, their family's totem, and etc. The flags were very clear and eye-catching. It was easy to tell which family or power a person belonged to with a single glance. Chu Tian was dressed like a rogue cultivator, and this kind of person was not liked by others. In this day and age, if one did not have any power, one could not do anything. What kind of future could a rogue cultivator have? Chu Tian did not care about the strange gazes of the passers-by. He continued to aimlessly stroll around, enjoying the bustling scenery of Central State City. Central State City had a well-known Central State Academy. It had tens of thousands of students and could be considered a medium-sized sect. Because of this, Central State City not only had a luxurious business atmosphere, it also had a strong academic atmosphere. No matter where one went, one could see dojos and training halls. Speaking of Central State Academy, Chu Tian thought of Nangongyan. She had been here for a while, so she should be doing quite well. It wasn't that Chu Tian did not think of going to Central State Academy to find Nangongyan, but Central State Academy was very big and Chu Tian did not know where to look. If he went to ask around, it would be hard to guarantee that his identity would not be leaked. He would wait for a bit. There was no need to rush. While Chu Tian was walking on the street, he suddenly heard a few low roars behind him. 8 horsemen riding ferocious giant tigers were fiercely rushing towards him. They drove away all the carriages that were passing by, and used their long whips to beat the peddlers and servants, forcibly opening up a wide road. Scram! All of you scram! The heavenly sword young master has arrived, all unrelated people scram. The knight's ferocious appearance had originally aroused the dissatisfaction of the people, but when they heard that it was the heavenly sword young master, they were all scared to retreat, not even daring to complain. Chu Tian narrowed his eyes and said to himself, "Heavenly sword young master?" It was that Chu Xinghe. This fellow is too overbearing. The little fox also nodded. It was rare for it to agree with its master. What do you know? Who is the heavenly sword young master? He's the #1 genius of the Central State. This is the face of our Central State City and the pride of Central State City. If you dare speak carelessly, be careful of your life. Several passers-by began to reprimand Chu Tian, as if belittling the heavenly sword young master was the same as belittling Central State City. This made Chu Tian feel very uncomfortable. Who was he, Chu Xinghe, to represent a city? At this moment, go. Hiya! Hiya! 3 rows of silver-robed Chu clan swordsmen galloped over. Every single Chu clan swordsman was dressed exactly the same, and they were all mounted on azure jade dragon scale colts. This was an extremely powerful warhorse, 2 meters tall, with a body as hard as metal and stone. It could travel 10,000 miles in a single day, and it also possessed the battle prowess of the peak of the 9th layer of body refinement. 3 rows of knights, each row had 8, for a total of 24. Each one of them had an incomparably strong aura. There were already people in the crowd that cried out, 24 heavenly sword guards. Each one of them has a strength at the 2nd awakened soul layer, and has an ancient cultivation technique passed down by the heavenly sword young master. They follow the heavenly sword young master all year round, and sweep in all directions. They are the most loyal guards of the heavenly sword young master, and the strongest protectors of the Central State Chu family. This is the power of the heavenly sword young master? He really is worthy of being the heavenly sword young master. The rogue cultivators were all shocked when they saw this. The guards were all at the 2nd awakened soul layer, and there were a total of 24 of them. They were all fierce-looking and it was clear they cultivated a special cultivation technique. Their battle strength was much stronger than normal 2nd awakened soul layer cultivators. The heavenly sword young master was truly terrifying. After the 24 celestial sword guards passed by, there were a few rows of magnificent and solemn guards of honor. The horses they chose were all majestic and beautiful white jade warhorses, which were 3 feet taller than ordinary horses. Over 100 cavalrymen with golden spears in their hands were sitting on the huge white jade warhorses, escorting a beast carriage in a majestic manner as it slowly drove over. What kind of beast carriage was this? His entire body was golden, radiating light in all directions. The moment he appeared, everyone present felt their minds tremble violently. It was as if they had seen an ancient god slowly rising from the end of the earth. That majestic and domineering aura was like a king inspecting his own territory. The boundless pressure was like a tsunami that covered the sky and covered the earth, making everyone feel so insignificant. Roar! Roar! The golden beast carriage was pulled by two giant creatures. These creatures had the 4 limbs of tigers and the body of a flood dragon. They were majestic and dignified, with an incomparably strong aura that made it hard for people to look at them. Tiger flood dragon. An ancient species, tiger flood dragon. The rogue cultivators that saw the heavenly sword young master for the first time were all excited, almost wanting to bow down. The tiger flood dragon was an ancient species that had the bloodline of a flood dragon. Its strength was terrifying and tyrannical. Just these 2 tiger flood dragons pulling the carriage had already reached the triple awakened soul realm, and there was still a lot of room for growth. The moment the tiger flood dragon golden carriage passed through the streets, the air seemed to freeze. Everyone felt a stabbing pain in their bodies, like a majestic mountain was pressing down on their shoulders. Greetings to the heavenly sword young master. Greetings to the heavenly sword young master. In front of this strong pressure, everyone unconsciously knelt down. This scene was like a noble going out on a journey. Chu Tian felt the aura coming from the tiger flood dragon golden carriage, and his brows slightly turned serious. Whether it was this powerful golden carriage or these 2 majestic tiger flood dragons, they were not things that Central State City should have. There was only one possibility. Chu Xinghe had obtained some kind of ancient inheritance, and these were all inherited items. He never thought that he would have such luck. It would be hard for such a person not to be strong. There were 2 bodyguards on the left and right of the tiger flood dragon golden carriage. One of them was a person dressed like a scholar, and the other was a one-eyed burly man. The person dressed like a scholar was none other than the life-snatching scholar, who had lost to Chu Tian not long ago, Chu Tungguen. Everyone present knelt down because of the heavenly sword young master's pressure. Only Chu Tian was still standing straight, so Chu Tian was very eye-catching. Chu Tungguen looked over and instantly saw him. His expression instantly changed. It's him. Wasn't this the Lu Ren he met not long ago? But for some reason, after not seeing him for a few days, he had become younger. A cold and arrogant voice came from the golden carriage. This brat can block my pressure without kneeling. It seems like he has some skills. Does Mr. Tongwen know him? Chu Tungguen hesitated for a few seconds and did not say the truth because of his face. He has offended me before, but we don't have much of a relationship. Ha 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 ha. The one-eyed man suddenly laughed. Since he has offended old brother Tongwen, how can we let him stand in Central State City alive? Let me, Chu Batian, take his little life for old brother Tongwen. Chu Tongwen's expression changed. He wanted to stop him, but it was already too late. The one-eyed man stomped on the ground and teleported from the side of the golden carriage, appearing directly above Chu Tian. Large amounts of runes condensed on his right fist as he wildly laughed. Brat, your luck is very bad. Die for me. There was no reason. There was no fear. Just because Chu Tian did not kneel after seeing the heavenly sword young master's carriage, the one-eyed man wanted to kill Chu Tian on the street, wanting to take Chu Tian's life on the spot. This fist was like a giant mountain pressing down on him. The one-eyed man did not care about the lives of the bystanders. Chu Tian's expression slightly changed. The one-eyed man had a triple awakened soul strength, so it was not easy for Chu Tian to deal with him. He could only condense the starlight immortal body's power and forcefully block this attack. That terrifying strength pushed Chu Tian back several feet, and the surrounding people all spat out blood from their internal injuries. The starlight around Chu Tian's body cracked, and he almost exploded on the spot. This large man had such a strong destructive might. This fellow should not have used his full strength. Chu Batian revealed a surprised expression. A trivial first awakened soul layer cultivator can block 50% of my strength, but you won't be so lucky with this fist. Batian, come back. Chu Batian was prepared to shatter the other side's defenses, but a voice came from the Tiger Dragon Gold carriage. Chu Batian was a bit stunned and could only obediently retreat. The Tiger Dragon Gold carriage slowly moved forward. When it passed by Chu Tian, a voice came from inside. Young man, your talent is not bad. It would be a pity if you died here. Pledge your loyalty to me and become my servant. I can personally guide you in your cultivation. Become your servant? And guide me in my cultivation? Chu Tian had lived 2 lifetimes. This was the first time someone had said they would guide him in his cultivation. Chu Tian gave a cold smile and said word by word, "This old man is not rare." Silence. The scene was completely silent. Everyone's expression changed. The Heavenly Sword young master Chu Xinghe had personally recruited him, and even said he would guide him. What kind of honor was this? Chu Xinghe was the only person in Central State City that had the chance to become a royal noble in the future. How many awakened soul cultivators wanted to follow him even in their dreams? This nameless youth, this nameless rogue cultivator, in front of everyone, with an extremely disdainful attitude, he had rejected the Heavenly Sword young master's invitation. This was slapping the Heavenly Sword young master's face. As expected, from the Tiger Dragon Gold carriage, a terrifying aura suddenly filled the air, making everyone feel a suffocating pressure. That voice became cold and terrifying. This really is the stupidest choice. Why? Chu Tian faced this tsunami-like aura, but he still did not move. Your Excellency has no virtue. I disdain to be with you. This one's bones are hard. I cannot bend my back. Your Excellency has no virtue. I disdain to be with you. This one's bones are hard. I cannot bend my back. These words were like pieces of golden bricks that smashed heavily on the ground, shattering the sturdy floorboards and emitting an earth-shattering boom. The thousands of soldiers kneeling on the ground all had a look of horror on their faces. What kind of character was this? What kind of courage was this? Even when facing a heaven's pride like the Heavenly Sword young master, this youth was still not willing to put down his dignity. Did he ever think about the consequences of his actions? Dignity, was it really more important than his life? Chapter 124. Chu Tongwen and Chu Batian both revealed a look of shock. The two of them were not from the Chu family, but rather from the common folk. Whether it was because they feared the Heavenly Sword young master's strength, or because they respected the Heavenly Sword young master's fame, or because they chose their masters, they chose to abandon their surnames and became the Heavenly Sword young master Chu Xinghe's subordinates. The Heavenly Sword young master's peerless style was something that no one in Central State could look up to. No matter who it was, they would feel inferior when they saw this kind of person. What kind of confident person was this? What kind of arrogance was this? Only they could resist the Heavenly Sword young master's peerless glory. The two of them were the Heavenly Sword young master's people. Chu Tongwen even had a grudge with Chu Tian, but in this short moment, they looked at this nameless youth in a new light and even felt a sense of admiration. Because what they could not do, this youth had done it. But that was it. The tallest tree in the forest would be destroyed by the wind. From today onwards, this youth would no longer exist in this world. No matter how outstanding he was, it would be useless. Chu Xinghe's voice was very calm, like a king interrogating a commoner. It was filled with an irresistible majesty. Everyone in Central State City knows what the result of offending this young master is. You seem to be very confident, so this young master will give you a chance. These words were like a reward. I will only use and I will suppress my cultivation to the same level as you. The Heavenly Sword young master Chu Xinghe's voice was ethereal and bright, just like a spiritual god. It was as if the wind and clouds were stirred. If you can block this sword and not die, then you have the qualifications to continue living. Otherwise, you will forever disappear from this world. When everyone heard this, they all pitied this youth. Because when the Heavenly Sword young master said these words, this youth was already a dead man. The Heavenly Sword young master had a very famous name. That was to kill Chu Xinghe. It was said that at the same level and realm, no one had ever been able to block his sword. Even the other three young masters were no exception. The Heavenly Sword young master's strength had already surpassed everyone's imagination. Even famous figures like Chu Tongwen and Chu Batian were defeated by Chu Xinghe with a single sword strike. From then on, they were willing to serve Chu Xinghe. This sword was the Nether King's invitation. A smile appeared on Chu Tian's face. You seem to be very confident that you can kill me with one strike. Then I'll play with you. Let's not talk about one strike. 2 strikes or even 3 strikes. How about that? The Central Continent city citizens were all speechless. He was really a newborn calf that was not afraid of the tiger. He was already at death's door, yet he was still so stubborn. Even if the heavenly sword young master suppressed his strength to the first awakened soul layer, his full strength slash was enough to kill a triple awakened soul. His strength had already surpassed common sense. Chu Xinghe's cold voice rang out. Are you ready? Chu Tian grinned. Why do you need to prepare? Just bring it on. In that instant, the air in all four directions surged and a strong aura began to condense. This pressure was very strong. Not to mention a normal first awakened soul layer cultivator. If they were to face this terrifying pressure, they would freeze on the spot and lose their ability to fight. At this time, golden spirit energy soared into the sky. A fierce four-clawed flood dragon appeared, bearing its fangs and brandishing its claws. The flood dragon's body was covered in golden scales and each scale was covered in runes. It was filled with a deep and vast divine might. After circling around the golden carriage a few times, suddenly, Soul Sword Secret Art. A vigorous and forceful voice rang out from within the golden chariot. At the same time, a golden sword soared into the sky. The flood dragon abruptly chased after it and drilled its head into the golden sword, becoming one with the sword. The light that suddenly erupted was like a sun that illuminated the earth. It appeared. The golden flood dragon sword. The legendary heavenly sword young master's source spirit. The strongest sword source spirit that the Central State Chu family had in the last several hundred years. This golden flood dragon sword, not only did it have an unparalleled destructive might, it also contained the might of a flood dragon. Wherever the sword pointed, it would be invincible. Heaven-cutting art. The strongest move of the Central State Chu family's Soul Sword Secret Art. Chu Xinghe's strength was much stronger than people imagined. His Soul Sword Secret Art had not only been mastered, it had already reached the large success realm. It had even reached the perfection realm. Once the heaven-cutting style was used, the golden flood dragon sword seemed to have the power to split the heavens and earth. The fierce momentum was condensed to its peak in a short period of time, leaving a deep sword mark on the road. It instantly arrived in front of Chu Tian. Up, down, left, right. All the space was sealed. It made it impossible for Chu Tian to dodge this slash. Chu Tian's body was covered in a glass like starlight. He pulled out the netherworld sword from his back, and on the blade that was like ice, large amounts of runes lit up and blue and white flames covered it. Starlight glass body. The netherworld flame sword appeared in his hand. Chu Tian did not plan on dodging at all. Even if he was facing a strong pressure, he still fearlessly took a step forward. He brandished the flaming sword and heavily collided with this attack. Pung. The netherworld sword had the effect of absorbing energy, and the netherworld flame had the effect of burning energy. Both of them could effectively weaken the opponent's attack. However, Chu Xinghe's slash was too strong. The power that was released in an instant completely surpassed the limit of what he could bear. Countless sword chi sprayed out, turning into tens of thousands of sharp needles. They rained down on Chu Tian's body like a storm. His starlight glass body, which was originally extremely sturdy, was instantly riddled with holes. It kept shattering. Chu Tian gave a loud roar. Spirit energy continued to pour out from his body as he used all his strength to activate the netherworld sword. He used all his strength to dissolve the golden flood dragon sword's power, and he used all his strength to repair the starlight immortal body, blocking the terrifying power of this slash. Scram for father. Chu Tian's wild netherworld sword slash sent the golden flood dragon sword flying. It circled in the air before flying back into the golden carriage. Chu Tian used the sword to support his body, and his breathing became a bit rushed. His clothes were completely torn, and there were at least several hundred small wounds on his body. Blood dyed half of his body red in the blink of an eye. Even so, he was still standing and did not fall down. Even if he was heavily injured, he would still break Chu Xinghe's sword. Everyone was shocked. The young man had really blocked Chu Xinghe's slash. He did not even take half a step back, and was still standing in the same place. The legend of the heavenly sword young master's one-slash-kill. It had actually been broken by a normal-looking young man. This was enough to shake Central State City. Chu Tian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and broke out in laughter. Heavenly Sword young Master Chu Xinghe? Even if you have the large success cultivation technique, you are still only this strong. What are you so arrogant about? What qualifications do you have to make me your servant? Chu Batian flew into a rage. I'll go kill him. Forget it. Chu Xinghe's voice came from the golden carriage. This young master will keep his words. Since you can block my slash, I'll let you live this time. This young master has been unrivaled in the same generation for too long. I need 1 or 2 decent opponents. You have a lot of potential. If you die now, it's too much of a pity. I'll wait for you to grow up and challenge me again. At that time, I'll openly kill you. Chu Batian stared at Chu Tian and said, Brat, consider yourself lucky. Chu Xinghe said in a low voice, Let's go. The Heavenly Sword young masters group gradually went far away. Everyone slowly gasped for breath. Each person's face was filled with shock. What happened here today? It would take at most 2-3 days for the news to spread across Central State. Chu Tian turned and walked into the crowd. Netherworld flickering flame. He could not stay here for long. Chu Tian instantly used his sword art and quickly entered the Netherworld, disappearing from the crowd. The nameless youth had blocked the Heavenly Sword young master's slash. The legend of killing with 1 slash had been destroyed. Everyone began to discuss. What is the background of this youth? He can actually block the Heavenly Sword young master. No. It's not as simple as blocking. The Heavenly Sword young master suppressed his cultivation to the same realm, but the Heavenly Sword young master's cultivation technique has already reached the large success realm. This youth is only at the small success realm. How can the two be compared? With this, everyone was shocked. Even if their cultivation was the same, the Heavenly Sword young master's cultivation technique had the advantage. This soul sword secret art was known as the strongest attack cultivation technique in Central State, and the Heavenly Sword young master had cultivated it to the large success realm. How could the two be compared? What do you know? The Heavenly Sword young master only underestimated his opponent. Otherwise this brat would have died several times already. The Heavenly Sword young master is a member of the Chu family. He has obtained an ancient sword cultivation technique. The truly powerful cultivation technique is not the soul sword secret art, but rather the inherited sword art. The Heavenly Sword young master did not use his finishing move, so the Heavenly Sword young master did not use his full strength. Even so, a casual slash could seriously injure him. Who is strong and who is weak can be seen with a single glance. A portion of the people who worshipped the Heavenly Sword young master immediately began to refute. These people were very reasonable. The Heavenly Sword young master was not a normal Chu family swordsman successor. He had obtained an ancient sword cultivation inheritance, so his true strength was not limited to this. Wrong. You're all wrong. In the entire battle, you've all ignored the most important point. The Heavenly Sword young master has already released his source spirit, but what about that youth? In the entire process, he did not release his source spirit. With this, everyone turned silent. That's right, the youth did not release his source spirit at all. When they thought of this detail, everyone was so scared that they almost peed themselves. A person who did not release his source spirit actually blocked the Heavenly Sword young master's powerful slash? How was this possible? When a cultivator used their source spirit and didn't use their source spirit, the difference in battle strength was several times. The stronger the source spirit, the stronger the amplification. Even if that youth's source spirit was above average, it was enough to double his strength. If it was like this, he could completely block the Heavenly Sword young master's attack without being injured. Why? Why did he not use his source spirit? Everyone had no choice but to accept this shocking reality. This was a heaven-defying youth. Who was he and where did he come from? In Central State City, everyone began to ask around. However, in the entire Central State City, there was no news of this youth and no one knew who this youth was. Ever since he fought with the Heavenly Sword young master, this miraculous person seemed to have disappeared into thin air. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.